back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
Yeah, it is nice to go to work in the morning and actually have some light.
There's something to this sunlight and warm weather and not being dark and cold and miserable all the time.
Yeah, you know what? I kind of like it that way.
Dark, cold, and miserable.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Logger Room. It is Thursday, special Thursday edition. Well, it's not a special Thursday edition. It's just a delayed Wednesday, Thursday edition of the Logger Room Sports Podcast. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, guys.
Hello, guys. Howdy.
How's everybody feeling today?
Well, I hear this special Thursday edition is brought to you by the fine folks at Moderna.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Radio Pete's body.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, I'm already battling allergies, which are bad enough. Which strangely enough, when I was a child, it was mucus and now it's just headaches and pressure. I kind of wish there was more mucus involved.
Sounds like my. Never mind. I'll leave that alone.
Anyway,
that's your autobiography, right? More mucus.
More mucus.
I kind of wish for more mucus. Yeah. So I got that going on, and then I went and got the first COVID shot, not so bad, just a little headachy, kind of lethargic. Second one I got Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday morning, got up. I was just exhausted.
It's because you got the shot at the gas station on the corner.
Well, that was probably the mistake. That guy said he had a white coat. He had a white coat and a name tag.
It said Grease Monkey on it, but hey,
Dr. Gus. So
was it Manny, Mo, or Jack?
It was Mo, I believe.
Right.
So I was just exhausted all day yesterday. And then in the afternoon, just kind of get a little bit of a fever, and I had some chills going on. So I basically got in bed at 4:00, and I slept till I don't know when we were texting, but after that, I guess I went back to sleep and slept till about 10:30. Got up for about an hour, had something to eat, went back to sleep. And slept till about 5 a.m. And then even earlier today, I was still exhausted. Yeah. I had to take a couple of power naps during work today.
There you go. No chills or...
You are a driver for a living, right?
Well, it was literally at a point where I would, I said, I got to stop and take a 10-minute nap, or I'm going to, run through a red light. I'm going to fall asleep at a red light, or, So falling
asleep at a red light is not as bad as falling asleep before you get to the red light. So
or after you get to the red light.
That's true too.
Yeah. Well, I always put it in park.
There you go.
Because I'd rather have someone blasting me, with their horn from behind than my foot slip off the gas while I'm snoozing and rolling out into the intersection. But I just really, really just a lot of fatigue and. But anyway, in another 13 days, thank you. I'm going to be Superman.
Another 13 days, you will be iridescent and glowing at night.
Yeah,
free to move about the world,
run around hugging people. I'm just going to sneak onto airplanes.
There you go.
Sure,
just fly around.
The hell, fly around aimlessly.
Well, you're no longer just some half-vaxxed, half-assed jackass. Now you're a fully vaxxed, half-assed jackass.
Well, I don't know. I'm not going to show you my ass, but if you saw it, you would not call it. There's nothing half about my ass.
There's nothing half about it. Right? Yeah, sure.
It is split down the middle.
It is.
Well, there are halves to it. It's just...
But each half is someone else's whole ass.
Are you trying to say there's a dark side of your moon?
Oh,
I got a seat that's rated for 400 pounds. Let's put it that way.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. So, well, hey, you know what? It can't, we were talking before off the air before we started. What was your idea? Hopefully, it was they'll come up with the kombucha shot with a little turmeric in it. Or?
Yeah, the kombucha turmeric, all natural, anti-vaxxer approved COVID solution.
Listen,
turns you a little yellow, but it keeps you good.
That's right.
Yeah,
right.
That's thinking about, because they're already talking about booster shots, right? And
once
maybe next year or whatever. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some sort of a drink or something that they came up with that you could drink 2 of these every month, or every 3 weeks have one of these. And,
it's called the Negroni,
and it's exactly. And ironically, it's not covered under your prescription plan, and it costs you $300 per. So.
Yeah.
The Negronis, no, they're about $12 if you get a good one.
Well, it depends on where you go. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But
that sounds like a bad word.
It's a Negroni.
Negronis.
Negroni, no, N-E-G-R.
I don't think you can say that, Ken.
Negroni.
Yes, you can.
You can say Negroni.
It's a pre-dinner drink in an entire country. So
it's gin and oh crap.
Vermouth and Campagna and bitters and
Campari.
Campari.
Gin and Campari.
You had me at gin.
Gin and Campari. Do you ever have straight Campari?
Not that I remember.
It tastes like putting a handful of pennies in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's really good with gin, ironically.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah. It's good if you're diving into a fountain.
This is true. Yeah. Drink the Campari first, so
with handcuffs, with your hands handcuffed behind you.
If you dive into a fountain of gin, then it would, there you go.
I need some money so that I can buy some gin. I'm handcuffed, and there's a bunch of coins in that fountain. Let me take a shot of Campari.
That's right. I'm going
I'm
going snorkeling at the fountain at Willowbrook. So let me get my mouth ready.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Well, this is a sports podcast, right?
I don't know. I'm really not quite sure what it is.
Not at first. Never is at first.
Yeah.
It's never is at first.
And maybe it should never be.
Maybe it shouldn't. But we'll merge into some baseball here. Why the hell not?
Yeah, why not?
Before we get into teams and plays and horrible stuff and things like that, Jay Bruce and Neil Walker retired.
Yeah. I remember when last week when we were talking about however you say his name, Ruffy Odor, and why they got him.
Ruffned
Odor. And we were like, well, why this? Well, I think they knew that he was going to retire. And the thing is that Jay Bruce was just as bad as everybody else on the Yankees. So I'm not.
He fit right in. I mean,
are they just? Is this like a bad corporate, massive layoff where you just start with the people closest to retirement and offer them an early retirement package? I don't know. It's
I don't get it.
Yeah, hey, it's. He had an RBI this year. I think that's more than you could say for Giancarlo Stanton. So
that's true. He was leading in that.
He was,
there, so.
Yeah.
But hey, you know what? All the best to him and Neil Walker.
Neil Walker surprised me.
2 former Mets and Yankees.
How old was Walker?
I mean, they're both in their 30s. Jay Bruce, I think, is a couple years older than Neil Walker. But
yeah, Neil Walker's pretty young.
He was 34 last year.
34. So that means he's 35 this year.
Assuming, it might not be his birthday yet.
Not yet, but I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, Jay Bruce
is what, 36, 37, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
But, I mean, he was that was sort of a home run swing with him, right? You really weren't expecting him to play all season and hit, 270 something. I mean, he's Jay Bruce.
He wasn't playing small ball. I
don't think I'm expecting anyone to hit all season.
But that's the Yankees. That's why he fit in on it, right? Because that's all it is.
Yeah, it was all or nothing. But you take a shot on him. So, right. And he really wasn't doing anything. So he goes.
Well, I think what kept him on the team was Voigt's injury,
right?
And I still don't know why. The Yankees finally. I was been screaming from Denver for them to bring up Mike Ford and Tauchman, and they finally have. I mean, Ford's hitting just as bad as everybody else, but he's made some really good defensive plays.
Yeah, he's good defensively out there. Yeah.
It's nice to have a first baseman there.
Right. Yeah, it is.
And then you could have DJ LeMahieu play every position yet the one he's supposed to play for everyone who sucks everywhere else in the infield.
Can he pitch when Garrett Cole is not, though? That's the question.
You know, I can't imagine him doing any worse. I don't know. I mean, the Yankees pitching at times has been okay. It's not like their starters are getting blasted. It's just that they're being taken out in the fourth inning. And Chad Green, I think, has played more games than Aaron Judge.
Maybe they should get Seth Green to play.
Maybe.
It might work.
Who knows?
No, I feel bad, though, because you follow two teams, right? You follow the Yankees, and Harry, of course I'm talking to. You follow the Yankees, and you follow your hometown Rockies.
Big win last night.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But
I think if my memory serves me correct, they split with the New York Mets.
They did. But I do have to say, unfortunately, your Yankees do have a low record.
But the Rockies are still worse.
It's the second lowest in the league, and the Rockies are the lowest. But
hey, look, the Rockies have also, I think, played the Dodgers 14 times this year.
The Rockies have played. I thought they played, except for the two against the Mets, they played the Rockies every other game. They played the Dodgers every other game.
Yeah, they're gonna have a very easy second half schedule.
And look, whatever it's. I don't watch a lot of full Rockies games, but when they're playing the Astros and they're beating them, I'm watching till the very last pitch.
Well, there's a lot of parity going on right now. All the teams that you thought were going to.
Everybody's hovering around 500 except for the Dodgers. But there's some surprise teams so far. I mean, Milwaukee's in first place. I don't think anybody saw the Brewers sitting there right now, although they're not. What are they? 10-7, 11-7. So it's
the Brewers are 11-7. Yeah.
It's early, but
Well, look, no one was expecting Boston. I think
no.
To be where they are. Tampa Bay, I think we were all expecting not to be as good as last year. They lost a few people.
But they're right around 500, though. It's not like
they're
10-9 with it. They're 10-9.
Yeah. Right. No. It's just,
Who would have thought
the Orioles would be in third?
Who would have thought that the Red Sox, Royals, and Oakland A's would be in first place in the American League?
All right.
And, I mean, the Mets are...
Toronto and the Yankees would be...
Right,
in the cellar, at least for now. Houston out in the West is down at the bottom of the pack there.
Look at a lot of teams that people were really high on this year, including the Padres. Padres are 10-10.
Right.
The Cardinals are 8-10. I mean, that might have they're dead. The Reds are at 500.
Mm-hmm.
And the Nationals are 2 games under 500. The Braves are 2 games under 500.
The Braves are 2 games under 500. That's
I mean, you could say the Mets are in first place, but everybody in the division is.
It's just a percentage, and the Mets are only 1 game over 500. They just happen to be the only team over 500.
That's because they shit the bed the last 2 nights, and
it's also because they didn't play the first.
Night,
they also haven't played as many games because they were, subjected to the COVID.
True, yeah. There are 4 games they have to make up. The first season, the first series against the Nationals, and then 1 other game they have to make up. But
how is it? Yeah, how is it that Washington has 3 extra games played? I mean, unfortunately for them, their losses. They're 7-9. How are the Mets only 7-6?
The Mets have had a couple of days off.
Mets have had a couple rainouts too.
Mets have had a couple rainouts other than the first series, and they had a day or 2 off that the Nationals haven't had yet. But at some point in the season, the Nationals.
Oh, okay, all right. That makes more sense. Yeah. So how did Washington make up games that were not against the Mets? Because I wasn't aware of them missing any other games.
There was 6. There was 3 other. There's 2 other rainouts or 3 other rainouts and 1 snow out, and they made up 2 of those games. So there's 1 or 2 of those games they have to make up, and then there was 1 or 2 off days.
Yeah, shouldn't Colorado and Chicago just be on the road the first 2-3 weeks of the season?
They usually are.
You would think.
They usually are.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, the first week was fine here. It was the 3rd week.
Yeah. The Mets landed in
well, look,
Colorado
it was 35 degrees here this morning when I got up.
Yeah.
After a bunch of days in the 50s and 60s. So.
And then, but this weekend's going to be warmer. It's going to be in the upper 60s to around 70. And next week it's going to be in the mid 70s around here. So,
hey, look, all I know is that what I said a couple weeks ago on opening day is coming true. The baseball season is the Dodgers, and if they can stay healthy, I don't think anybody's touching them.
Probably not.
And that's what it looks like. They're the only team that's consistently winning.
This is true. Yeah, I mean, it's a long season.
It's a long season. I get that, but is it when you're already when the Yankees are already 5 games out of first place, and the first place team is only 5 games over 500? It's a bad sign.
It is. It is. So, well, you're probably right, but again, it's a long season, so it's not just a long season that other teams can bring it back up. It's also a long season that who knows what's going to happen with the Dodgers in 4 months. So
they have to stay healthy.
Odds are,
but they're already dealing with some injuries and they're plowing through them. So
that's depth. So it's nice
and the type of baseball that they play, they have great pitching, probably better pitching this year than they had last year, and they can win with the long ball or they can play small ball, and they just seem to. I mean, how big of a re-signing was Justin Turner for them?
Yeah, that was big.
I mean.
That was definitely.
There's just a bunch of guys in that team that seem to have timely hits.
Yep, that is true. And it'd be nice if the Mets were able to do that as well. I don't know if you caught any of the game last night. 16-4, they lost.
Yeah.
What was that 7-run fourth?
It was a 7-run fourth inning, and then there was a few other, and it was ridiculous.
Other than that, it was
good. They were winning in the fourth.
It was 9-4 instead of 16-4.
Yeah, it was.
If it wasn't for that 7-run inning.
If it wasn't for that 7-run inning, it was only.
It wasn't for that 7-run fourth.
You can't carry any runs over to the next game.
There was 3 or 4 errors in that fourth inning, and J.D. Davis started it all. I'm sorry. I love J.D. Davis's bat. He cannot play third base. He cannot. He looks spooked right now. He better not be playing tonight. I don't even know if he started. I mean, the game's starting soon. I haven't even looked, but
it's on. It's bottom of the first, I think.
It just started, yeah. But they better put Guillorme in at third tonight. Just giving him a day off. I'm not even talking about benching him or anything like that. But he really can. He just cannot play third base. And here lies the question. It's like, okay, but his bat is that good. Yeah, his bat is that good. But if he's going to keep pulling errors and costing you run after run after run. Who cares if he drives in 1 run here and 1 run there? You're still losing the game with him because he's giving up 2 or 3 other runs with his fielding.
He's not playing tonight, and he's 0 for 1.
No,
Guillorme's leading off, and he's 0 for 1.
Yeah, but it's insane. I mean I feel bad, but that's the case. I mean, put him on the bench.
Well,
bring his bat in.
That's what we talked about earlier a few weeks ago. Are you going to get more out of his offense than you are out of his, to overcome the defensive lapses?
Right. And in all fairness,
but no one. But if nobody's hitting, then don't you? I mean, you have to have someone in the lineup who's hitting.
Well, that's another thing too. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Nobody else is hitting. I mean, Lindor finally had a home run last night.
Here's the Mets averages. Right, Lindor's at 217.
Mm-hmm.
Dom Smith's at 250.
Mm-hmm.
Alonso's 224. Conforto's a $171.
Conforto's, I don't know what the hell he's doing.
McCann's at 250, and then you got Villar and Pilar, who cares what they're doing?
Pilar and Villar.
Yeah. Pilar's at 111, and Villar's at 280. Ooh, there you go. There's your team leader.
They're both. I mean,
280's is great right now.
But that's also somebody that's played gets come in a couple of times late in games.
I understand.
Right, yeah.
Started 1 or 2.
He's not your starter who's going to be out there every day, unless he keeps hitting 280, in which case,
that's
put him up
story.
first.
Exactly.
So, do you look at it and go, well, look, if J.D. Davis gets us a run or 2.
Yeah, but then he gives up a run or 2 with his fielding. But
you got to figure that's not going to happen every game.
Yeah, but when it does, though,
I know, but you need more. You need a bigger sample size.
You do. I understand.
This has been the Mets bitch corner.
Well, I got to tell you, in all fairness to J.D. Davis, he wasn't the only one committing errors last night.
No.
There was a bloop fly ball that just dropped in between Nimmo and Conforto and McNeil. Like, nobody was like, let it fall, whatever, let him score a run. I swear, seriously, at one point during the 4th inning when all of that was going on, I really thought I should have been listening to the Benny Hill theme. I'm not kidding.
Look, listen, the Mets
seeing ourselves once again.
Yeah. The Mets have to.
Everybody's like, who? Benny who? Benny Hanna?
Benny Hanna.
The Mets have to understand that you have to go out and play the games. It doesn't matter what you look like on paper or when anybody says. You go out and you play. You play well, you win. You don't play well, you lose. It's as simple as that.
They're in first place.
You know, you they're exactly, they're in first place. Well, it's like Crash Davis, Kevin Costner said in Bull Durham. You know, you throw the ball, you catch the ball, you hit the ball.
Right.
Sometimes you win.
You win. Sometimes you lose.
Sometimes it rains. And they've added in snows now, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
90% of the game is half mental.
90% of the game is half mental. Exactly. Absolutely. We went over that last week, didn't we? But in any event, 16-4 last night. It was ridiculous. I don't know. It was 4 hours,
I don't know.
4 hours and 5 innings last night. 4 hours and 5 innings it was.
Listen, I think I heard this before last night's game because I had it on my list here. So I'm going to update my numbers here. And Mets in Chicago at Wrigley, 4-18 in their last 22 games.
Yeah, Wrigley Field's difficult.
So they have
this
been.
This is a team that swept the NLCS 6 years ago, but that was a different team. The only same player, DeGrom right now on the team because you can't count Syndergaard because he's not playing right now. The only players, DeGrom and Conforto were the only players on that 85. What the hell am I talking about? 2015 World Series team.
Yeah.
So
whatever it is about that, they have their number.
They do.
And,
speaking of DeGrom and Stroman, for that matter, I mean that's what's getting them the wins, right? That's what's keeping them in first place for now, anyway. Is the pitching? I mean, other than Peterson, other than like 2 innings for Peterson last night and 1 inning for Peterson last night, just a fourth. He faced the minimum. He faced 9 batters in the first 3 innings, so he was cruising at that point before all hell broke loose in the fourth. And that 1 inning in Philly, his first start, he's been decent, and Taijuan Walker's been pitching good. So other than Lucchesi's start here, when you get Carrasco and them back, I mean, DeGrom and Stroman have been a really dominant 1-2 punch. I mean, the DeGrom's he's 1-1, and we know why DeGrom is 1-1 because he's always he should be 5-0 when he's 1-1, and he only pitched 3 games. He should be 5-0, but he's got a .45 ERA right now. And he pitched to an opponent's batting average 162. And Stroman is 3-0. He's got a .89 ERA.
Well, that's all great, but what's everybody else doing? Nothing.
That's the problem. Nobody's hitting anything. That's everybody else is. Taijuan Walker's not as good, but he his numbers are in there, and these bats just got to start. It's a little cause for concern. Yeah, Lindor got a home run last night, so he got his first home run as a Met, but he, it's a little cause for concern. The $341 million man, hitting what's he? Hitting? Just saw it 178 or something like that.
Yeah,
he's never been a big average guy. I mean, he started off his career that way.
Yeah,
but he's a 260, 270 hitter the last. Now his power has significantly gone up since then.
And also his averages traditionally, and I looked at it too.
He's a slow starter.
He's a slow starter.
April
has sucked for him, and then he kills it.
He's a slow starter.
Well,
I wouldn't worry too much about Lindor. He knows how to catch the ball and throw it to first base. You got a guy at first base who can catch it. You're way ahead of some teams.
Yeah. Look, they're not doing enough of the right things to win, but as we've said, they and doing a few too many of the wrong things, but they are in first, so
they're in first place. They're 4th in the league in pitching right now, with not including last night, a 2.87 ERA, 2.87.
They're 45th, including last night.
Yeah, really. They're 30th. They're 30th in offense. 30th.
There you go.
That's ridiculous. At 2.92 runs per game. But what are you going to do? They got to. Should they be worried?
It's a long season.
Yeah. So you're saying no, they shouldn't be worried.
No one should be worried right now.
Yeah.
Listen, you got to give these young pitchers, some time, right?
Yeah.
Walker had trouble finding the plate the other day. Walked in 1 run or 2 runs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually happy to see that he got to stay out there and at least have an opportunity to get out of the jam. He couldn't do it, and there were a couple of they were balls, but they were kind of borderline pitches that could have been called third strikes, and that didn't help him out. But I was kind of happy to see somebody actually getting an opportunity to work out of a jam, but
it
didn't work out for him, of course.
Yeah, that was good too. But
you got to give these guys time.
I do think, but to your point though, there were a couple of borderline ball strike pitches thrown on Walker's behalf, but those same pitches were strikes for the Cubs pitcher, and that's what Ross came out and argued and got thrown out of the game for doing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he was squeezing the strike zone for Taijuan Walker. It was clear that he was doing it because he didn't just do it once.
We have gone almost a half hour before John has complained about the umpires. This is a new record. We're 1 minute under a half hour.
Pete brought it up. I didn't. Pete brought it up.
I goaded him into it.
Pete brought it up. I did.
Well, John, there were a couple of pitches that might have been strikes. I'm not saying the umpire was being unfair, but well, get these guys. And the other thing is, look,
the umpires only make bad calls against the.
It's true.
And the Giants.
Yeah, but if you're Taijuan Walker and you head out to the mound and your team has not been scoring,
right?
That puts a little more pressure on you, right?
Of course it does.
I got to be good. I got to be better. I got to be nearly perfect.
Right.
I can't give up more than a couple of runs, right. And that can be very unnerving. So
absolutely, I get
it's not even the end of April. Well, let's see how things are at the end of May.
It could be worse. I mean, it's they're. Whatever. And we'll see. We'll figure it out. To the Yankees,
frustrating, but not time to get crazy yet.
This is true. To the Yankees' point, what Harry was talking about before, it's the second. It's the worst record in the AL. It's tied for the worst record in the American League. But they have their team batting average through 15, 16 games or whatever is the lowest it's been since 1972. I mean, it's quite obvious. I mean, Harry, what do you think about that?
Didn't they win the championship that year?
In 72? No. Did Harry freeze? Or is he just really, really still and concentrating on something that he's looking at?
I think he's frozen.
Is he? Like legitimately frozen or just a screen? Yeah.
No, I think he's. Well, hopefully it's not a physiological activity.
It's like because they're up. No, he's gone. Look at that.
All right, he's going.
He's gone. Is he coming back?
Now we can talk about the Yankees.
Now we can talk about the Yankees. It's the lowest to be. Not there. He's back. What the hell happened there?
Oh, my Macintosh equipment just loves this Chromecast broadcast.
Gotcha.
Every once in a while, it just decides to go off the.
Reminds you that you're.
Reminds you that you need a new computer.
Reminds you that you're using something not made by Apple.
That's right.
Yeah. Exactly. But I just said before, I don't know if you heard me when I said it before, the Yankees batting average, the team batting average right now through 15, 16 games, whatever, it's the lowest it's been since 1972.
Yeah, and that was not a good year.
Yeah.
Look, the Yankees, I think the same issues that the Yankees had last year, they're having this year.
Right.
And it's just, it's I think, a little bit more obvious because they don't have, they're missing some of the guys that performed last year, like what's his name at first base is out. And so you don't have his bat there right now. You don't have some of the consistencies that you had otherwise. Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton are waving in the wind half the time. And Gary Sanchez looks back to he had a chance to win the game the other night with two men on and 2 outs, and he struck out on 3 strikes.
Yep.
They're just not hitting the ball, and I think that there's some, look, Torres isn't running out balls. You got Aaron Hicks, he's in some sort of funk. I don't really know what's going on there. And you got people like Odor, who's hitting 111, who play in second base. It's just this stellar lineup doesn't look so stellar right now.
No,
because other than LeMahieu, and even LeMahieu's not typical DJ LeMahieu. I mean, he's had some bad strokes of luck here and there. He's still hitting almost 290, right. But they just can't seem to manufacture runs when they need to, and they're not hitting the long ball.
No, they're not, and that's what they hang their hat on, right? But and here's another thing too. You hear all these interviews. You hear an interview with Boone. You hear an interview with Cashman. You hear Judge said it yesterday in an interview the day before. We know what the talent is on this team. We know what the talent is on this team. We know what the talent is on this team. All right. Well, I mean, there comes a point in time where, is it really?
You can't waste good starts. I mean, look, Talion had a good start the other day. Herman tonight, look, he's pitched 5 innings, given up 2 earned runs. Now the Yankees have given up 3, but these are games that you need to be able to score more than 4 runs. If you could, if your starting pitching is going to give you 5 strong innings of 2-run baseball, then you have to win games.
Right.
And didn't they shake up the lineup the other day?
And they shook it up today again, too. You got Brett Gardner leading off. LeMahieu's batting second. Judge is down to third. And Mike Ford is hitting cleanup. You got Torres moved and Aaron Hicks moved down, which I agree with the Hicks move. You got to move him out of that third spot. And they moved Torres, around, too. Sanchez isn't playing today. You got Higashioka playing.
What do you do with Torres, Hicks, Odor, and Frazier and Ford? How do you line up? You
put them all up at once and see maybe
Well, a couple of 111s, $194, and a couple of the ones. What do you do with those guys?
We need Luke Voit back because that settles everything else in the infield. I still think, and I know people don't agree with me, I still think that Miguel Andujar is a better, third baseman in some ways. And when he gets back, where do you put him? Why Mike Tauchman? I mean, maybe he isn't on the team again. I don't know why. How you don't have Mike Tauchman playing ahead of Clint? The Yankees. Here's the problem with the current Yankees.
He's on the bench tonight.
Here's the problem with the current Yankees leadership. They are so stubborn to admit that they are wrong on some of their so-called homegrown players, and that includes Sanchez. It includes Frazier. And Torres.
I think we're, to that point, I think that they thought they were having, go back 4 years, right? The baby bombers. They thought they were having the second coming of the core 4 and everything else back in the 90s. And that's where it is, and they got to bring that along because this is what it was. It was the baby bombers. It's this is the new core 4. And it's not. It's not working. It's not.
Well, but I will say that's an unusual situation because it seems like every year there's somebody on the Yankees who comes out of nowhere and has a great season
for that season, and that's it.
True. Right. But this year there's nobody doing that.
And here's the thing, when did the Yankees play the Astros? And was that last year when Chapman gave up the home run, or is that 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. That team could have easily gone to the World Series and maybe won. Okay.
Oh, if the Yankees played the Nationals, I have a feeling they would have.
Last year, they just could not solve the Rays, and that's carrying over to this year. And the Rays are not even as good a team. Right. But there was a couple games there where it could have went either way, and you started to see this inability for them to hit in big situations and a lot of strikeouts. And 2 years ago, that Yankees team would work the count. They would make every pitcher earn, they ran up the pitch count so that they could get to the bullpen. And that's when they always had the ability to kind of come back and win games. Their bullpen against somebody else's bullpen, I'll take the Yankees' chances. They just don't have the kind of clutch players that they need right now. And look, I love Aaron Judge. I think he's great. He has not proven to me to be the clutch player, and he's not even the defensive player that he was 2 years ago right now. I'm not saying he's not a bad defensive player, but there's a reason why he's DHing, and you're trying to get multiple players into the outfield with when you're trying when your best bet is to get Brett Gardner and Clint Frazier into the outfield with an Aaron Hicks who's hitting 164, it tells you something,
right?
And I just.
Yeah. Just following along this inning here. Hicks gets up and hits a single, right? Gleyber Torres, I think, sees one pitch and flies out. Odor sees 3 pitches and flies out. No, you're right. Nobody is like working the count. I mean,
they're just
if there's strikes, you gotta swing at them, of course.
If you throw a breaking ball of any kind to Giancarlo Stanton that is anywhere near the outside of the plate, he will swing at it. And if it's down low, the chances of him getting it are zilch.
Yeah, he can't go down low and get a ball up.
And this is a guy who you built this team around him. He's been the biggest offseason signing the Yankees have had, other than Cole. But field player, he's been the biggest position player since A-Rod.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be out there doing it for you every day.
And they spent a shit ton of money on him, and I've never been impressed. Now he had a better postseason last year, but he's not even in the lineup today.
Needs a day off.
If your best hitter can't be if these so-called big guns can't be in the lineup every day, what is he, tired from DHing?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, getting up and down and walking.
I just don't get it. And look, I don't mind a Mike Ford at first base for now. Yes, he might not. He's got to walk. He seems to be able to work the pitch count a little bit better than everybody else. He walked in the winning run the other night. I don't mind a Ford or an Odor there, but that means that these other guys have to produce, and they have to start hitting, and they have to start hitting some long balls.
Right. Yeah.
Or at least driving the ball to the point where you're spreading it around a little bit, because it just seems as if the Yankees are not. They're just not hitting the ball with runners in scoring position.
Yeah. Well, listen, here's not that this is necessarily a tell-all for everything, but because it all, lopsided games will throw this askew. But, Toronto is 8-10, and they're plus 10s in runs scored. The Yankees are only minus 10.
Right.
They're 5 games under 500.
They've lost a lot of close games.
Yeah. They've all, right, So
pitching kept them in it, but they couldn't swing the bat.
Their pitching is better than I thought it would be to this point. Now, Kluber's been a little inconsistent. Yeah. Talent's been a little. I kind of expected that.
He lost it yesterday.
But Jordan Montgomery's been pretty good. Herman tonight. I mean, you can't complain about this. This is what I expected from him.
Yeah, and the Mets are minus 14, by the way. In that category.
Yeah, I'm shocked that that high.
You look at Oakland, who's 12-7. They're minus 2, 90 to 92, 90 runs scored, 92 given up.
Right. Yeah, because on games when they get blown out, they get blown out. But on games where they're close, they win.
It's just a lot of offense. Is my point.
Yeah, yeah.
So I again, there's
a lot of parity, especially in the American League this year. There's a lot of parity. You go up and down in the American League right now. I would argue that other than maybe 3 or 4 teams, it is a complete toss-up as to who's going to come out of the pack in each of the 3 divisions. It really is.
Yeah, I mean, the Royals are playing, like you said. The Royals are playing good. The Indians. I mean, everybody's right around 500. That's under, except for the Yankees and the Twins.
And the Red Sox. The Red Sox started out 0-3. Remember,
the Red Sox started out 0-3. They've gone 12-4 since. And
the Red Sox have done what the Yankees haven't done. The Red Sox had a bad year last year. The year before was kind of a crapshoot.
Right. But
they just cleaned house, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, their lineup is completely different. It's incredible, but it is.
They got rid of a bunch. They didn't get rid of everybody. They got rid of a bunch. Betts went obviously a couple of years ago. Benintendi left. But yeah, you're right. They moved people around. They did what they had to do. Cora's back, and they're winning games. It's like, other 12-4 since they lost the first 3.
Other than Xander Bogaerts,
JD Martinez is still there.
Yeah, Devers, is this his second year with them or first year? JD Martinez. They picked up Hunter Renfroe. He wasn't.
Yep. No, he picked him up. Yeah.
They don't. They're a lot like the Oakland A's right now. There's not a big splashy bunch of names here.
Nope.
It really isn't.
No, Xander Bogaerts is probably the splashiest name on that roster. Him and JD Martinez, of course. But
yeah. But they're, and they look who they have pitching. They have Adam Ottavino. They pick up some guys. the other thing too is
Adam Ottavino's pitching and
Yeah.
Nathan Eovaldi's pitching too.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm watching. Who was I watching the other day? Ex-Yankee pitcher, the really big dude. I'm drawing a blank now, but
Randy Johnson.
Yeah, no. When I say big,
He's a really big dude.
I mean, like he made CC Sabathia look about the same size as CC. Taller though. Anyway, he was their like number one guy for a couple of years, and he's pitching 7 shutout innings for the Twins the other day. So I mean, it's just. I just feel like the Yankees sometimes give up on the people that they shouldn't.
I suppose.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think I'll figure this guy out in a minute. Michael Pineda.
Oh, Pineda.
Who I believe has not lost a game in 9 starts.
That's possible. It's very possible. Yeah. So, but yeah, you're right though. I mean, there's parity around the league, but there's teams that are popping up. But you know what? Nobody's running. Other than the A's and the Red Sox, and again, they're not 12-0. They're 12-7, both of them. So and the Mariners are 11-7 too. They're up there.
Yeah.
Angels are playing decent ball, but they're right around 500. They're 9-7.
And how is it that the A's can just do this year in and year out? I mean, you have to just kind of love them for that.
Yeah, you do.
There's no other sport where a team with so-called never that much talent is able to win this consistently. It's kind of ridiculous.
It's true though.
Oh, hey, Yanks got the bases loaded.
There you go.
And Gotti's at the plate.
Gardy's at the plate.
Couple of walks.
How many?
Nick's got a single. Frazier and Higashioka walked.
How many outs?
2 outs.
2 outs.
If there wasn't 2 outs, I'd say bunt it.
Gardy bunt. Gardy can swing away.
Gardy kind of looks like he's bunting when he swings away until he connects on one, and then it's that short porch in right field is his best friend.
Oh yeah, well of course.
Yeah.
No, I'm just curious what he's going to do.
It's 0-2.
It's 0-2.
Mm-hmm.
So 0-3, or he flies out.
Hopefully he slaps a single to the left side because I'm sure they got the fucking shift on for him.
Well, of course they do, and it just you know what I've watched maybe 4 or 5 games over the last.
Ground ball to third.
Ground ball to third. There you go. Done.
Bases loaded. There you go. Bases loaded, and you just
ground to third baseman goes to second for the out.
Yeah. Watch 4 or 5 games over the last few days, and anytime the shift is on, whoever they put the shift on for hits right to who's in the shift. Right.
Did you see Joey Votto?
Yeah.
Bunting.
Yep.
Nobody there.
Yeah. Why not?
Nobody. He practically could have walked
to first base. Yeah, absolutely. So do that. Why? I mean, you're a professional hitter. You can't turn your foot. You can't put the ball in play. Like you said, just bunt it up the third base line. Nobody's there.
I will tell you this. As much as the long ball seems to be down a little bit this year compared to the last 2 years.
Well, they de-juiced the ball, right?
Which is good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, these pitchers might not be able to pitch for a long time, but the location that I've seen in pitchers, generally speaking, this year is just unbelievable. And the statistics and the know-how that they have to just, within a half an inch, get it where they know that guy at the plate can't hit it is unbelievable. Now, you could say it's the batter's inability to kind of adjust, but I think it's also the pitchers, for the most part, have just gotten that good.
Yeah.
And it's pretty insane.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Well, like we keep saying, it's a long season, and we'll see what comes of it.
It's a long season, and we'll be moaning and groaning.
The whole way.
Did you guys see what Gary Sheffield said?
Yeah. Can't watch the game anymore.
Yeah. He says he doesn't watch it.
Yeah.
They changed the game, making it more hitter friendly.
Right.
Guys go out there and this is my favorite part. These guys go out there and strike out 180, 190 times, and it's okay. Right. And then all of a sudden they show a home run. Now a home run is less appealing. When a home run was a big deal and more appealing when he played because it wasn't happening
What's kind of rich is that Gary Sheffield was the guy who struck out a lot and hit a lot of home runs.
Yeah, he was exactly the kind of
he was
exactly the kind of player that he doesn't like.
Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah.
Right.
Harry says
when he was with the Yankees or with the Mets? Oh wait, both. Right.
I was kind of forced to watch baseball because I was working with TBS, and so I had to really find out who these players. I'll tell you the secret now. I never watched the games during the season. I would get educated on it when I got there. It's not something that I could watch based on what I'm seeing because I'll be a complainer. This is the first time I've said that out loud, but I'm just truly disappointed with what I watch. So this is an analyst who doesn't watch the games.
It's kind of like Charles Barkley.
Hysterical. That's hysterical.
Well, I was watching, and not to shift to the basketball, but I was watching, NBA Tonight or whatever the post-game show was with Barkley, Shaq, and Ernie and Kenny. Right. And Barkley was basically saying the same thing, just talking about how, somebody was dancing around and doing windmills. It was Steph Curry. And Barkley was just like, somebody's got to put some wood on him. It's like he's running around out there like he's hang gliding.
Right.
And it's true.
It is true.
And I think a lot of it, it's like the other day in baseball, you could tell. So the ball slipped out of somebody's hand and somebody got hit by a pitch on their hand. And you could tell he was definitely, it was not in his best interest to brush him back at this point. There was no sort of, hey, I'm going to, throw at this guy. It was just a bad pitch. And of course, the announcers and everybody and the umpires back in the day, it just would have been like, take your base and all right, next pitch. It doesn't have to be a warning and a big. It's just Nolan Ryan would have pitched 300 less innings if he pitched in today's game.
Yeah,
he would have been thrown out after the third inning.
And is there a amongst the major sports, is there a less dangerous brawl than a baseball brawl?
Maybe basketball.
Yeah, but those guys usually get a couple of shots in because it's two guys and they're right there on the court, right? Baseball guys always got to come from opposite sides. And when's the last time there was a baseball fight where somebody actually really got punched in the face?
Where Reggie Jackson clocked what's his name pretty good. That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
what was the fight with
Odor and Batista
punching Joey Bats? Yeah. But
Odor and Batista.
Baseball fights are really generally a scrum.
Yeah, you got to hit, especially when it's a batter and pitcher. Which is usually the case because you got a distance to go.
Yeah, and you got the catcher, right? Trying to run the batter down, and there's 5 or 6 other guys ready to break it up, right? All in close proximity. So,
right.
I
don't know. Let's ask Draymond.
I'm just saying you can let guys get a little bit heated. It's not like nobody ever walks away from a baseball fight, with needing stitches.
No.
So, this whole, I'm going to warn everybody and, we don't want to,
I think the bloodiest fights are hockey fights.
Right.
But it's only 2 guys. It's not a melee.
You come for the fights and stay for the game.
Right. Yeah. It's not, but it's 2 guys. 2 guys will fight. Everybody else will stand there and watch. Nobody's helping them.
I think that if hockey should just have like 40 minutes of fighting and then a shootout.
A shootout.
Whoever's still standing gets to be in the shootout.
Everybody
gets to fight somebody else. Yeah.
Actually, I think they should have a draw.
There you go.
They put all everybody's names, and each team goes in a separate hat, and they pull out 2 names. Those guys fight.
Right.
Whoever wins, that team gets 1 point.
There you go.
And then they pull out the next 2 names. Sure. Those 2 guys fight, and eventually you run through the roster.
If there's a tie, then you have a shootout.
If there's a tie, if there's a tie, the goalies fight.
Right.
This just in: a starting pitcher is pitching in the 6th inning.
No.
Herman's pitch. He's got 2 outs in the bottom of the 6th.
That's insane.
There you go.
What do they think of next?
I don't know. Let's hope he gets his 3rd out.
It's insane. It's ridiculous. But hey, again, like we said, long season. We'll see what happens with it.
A long season.
It's a long season. Couple of notes here. Mets wise, DeGrom's career ERA right now is 2.57. Seaver's career ERA was 2.57. Coincidence? Nothing.
No,
Silence.
mathematics.
Mathematics. Is that right?
Sometimes people who do the same thing do it the same way.
Look at that. Up until yesterday, Nimmo had the second longest on-base streak game-wise, 24 games, to Mike Trout's 32.
Finding Nimmo.
Finding Nimmo. But he got a goose egg yesterday. So that's it. No dice. Here's a question for both of you: should Pete Alonso defend his home run crown at the Derby this year?
Who cares?
Or should he not? Or should he sit out? What do you think? I personally think he should do more with the bat in a game.
I think they should do what the NBA did and find the most obscure players who don't play for the dunk contest and have the guys who can't hit home runs
go in the home run derby.
The home run derby.
And some guy's going to win with 3, like the whole thing. He's going to 3 total of all the rounds.
That's right.
But
I think he should.
Yeah, I guess he should. He says he's in for it. He's ready.
You know what?
If he's invited, he's going. He said that's what he said.
Well, now, listen, I've heard plenty of guys say that it screws up your swing, right?
It didn't screw his swing up 2 years ago when he hit the most home runs by a rookie.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as they do in batting practice. I can't imagine it screwing up your swing.
I don't know. I guess it's just the number of times you go up there, and
it also helped him too because look how he did it. He went up later, and didn't hit. He didn't have to hit. He was going up against Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit like 900 home runs, but by the time he got to face Pete Alonso in the finals, he was exhausted. Yeah. So Pete Alonso hit 14, bing, done. I'm not taking anything away from Alonso by any means.
Vlad Jr.'s lost a lot of weight in the offseason.
Right. He did. So
I would say he
looks like Cecil Fielder now.
Is that right?
I don't know. Does it matter?
Cecil Fielder's son still playing?
No.
Does it matter if Alonso is
retired?
If he's hitting well, should he do it? And if he's not hitting well, he shouldn't.
I don't think it. You know what? Like Harry said, I don't think it really matters unless he's going to. Because even if he goes and he plays and he gets tired, unless he pulls something in his shoulder or his arm.
No, it's been 2 years.
Who cares if he's tired for a couple days?
It's been 2 years.
Which means he's gonna go over in a game or 2 after the All-Star break, and then he'll come back. Whatever. But
this is the Mets we're talking about, though. Those kind of things happen, John.
This is true.
There hasn't been one since 19. So
that's it. So that's why it's
his
title.
Yeah, I would say unless he's hurt, he might as well go.
Might as well.
I think they should have an old timers home run derby.
Why not? I think they should. I think you're right. So
you hit off a tee.
Hitting off a tee. All right. Well, on that note, should we get to our top 10?
Sure.
Our top 35 list.
Our top. It's a lot. Folks, today we're doing something different. We're not going to give you our top 10 list. We're going to give you a top 10 list, I should say. It's going to be the top Mets of all time by position. We're going to go through the first team, and then we'll read off the second team. We did both. But we'll go through the first team first. The top Mets of all time by position. So let's bring that up. And we'll start off with catcher. How about that? Why don't we start off with catcher? Number 1, or there's really not a number, but we're going to start off with catcher. Of course, that would be Mr. Mike Piazza, our first team catcher for the Mets all-time list on this podcast tonight. Mike Piazza, Michael Joseph Piazza. He was. I'm only going to say this for this one because of how it went down. He was drafted in the 493rd round of the was the 88 draft. Anyway, now he was drafted as a favor to his father from Tommy Lasorda, and he wound up in the Hall of Fame. But 12-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, 10-time Silver Slugger Award. His Mets number 31's retired, member of the Hall of Fame. And on and on. You know the drill. But Mike Piazza's our catcher for this list. Like I said, we have a second team. So you guys want to say anything about Mikey P?
One of the best mullets of all time.
There you go. Especially when he frosted the top of it, right?
Yeah, wasn't even close. This one was a no-brainer.
This was obvious. Yeah, a lot of these are
really
a lot
obvious.
Of these were obvious, but yeah. So there you go.
Except that Gary Carter's postseason play was pretty epic in '86.
Yeah.
It definitely was, and this one was it was close in that regard, but overall,
no,
this is.
I don't think any of these were really close. The Mets, unlike a lot of other teams that have been around a lot longer, I mean,
there's so few great players.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I just mean that they've had some really great players, and it seems most of these positions, I think we all agreed. I think on almost all of them, with the exception of maybe one. But
one or two, yeah. But there you go. Our catcher is Mike Piazza. We'll move to first base. And, of course, it's Keith Hernandez. Keith Hernandez is played for the Cardinals for the first 10 years of his career, and he was traded to the Mets, played 7 years for the Mets. It was a perfect timing, perfect acquisition. Finished his career with a season in Cleveland. But 5-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion in 82 with the Cardinals, and in 86, of course, with the Mets. It was the NL MVP in 79 with the Cardinals, but 11-time Gold Glove Award, 2-time Silver Slugger Award, batting champion 79, Mets Hall of Fame. Keith Hernandez was the benchmark for first baseman, at least at the time, and going forward, but especially with the Mets. There's been a lot of decent first basemen with the Mets, but Keith Hernandez was
two good first basemen in those years in New York. That's for sure.
This is true. Yeah, very true. Very true. One retired a year too early.
Well, yeah. And then I think Keith Hernandez is the only Mets to ever be on Seinfeld, right?
Yeah, he was. He was the only
back into the right.
Back into the right. Back into the right. Exactly. I wonder how his date with Elaine was, actually. But
I think his date with Jerry was more exciting.
There you go. So first baseman, Keith Hernandez. Keith, anything on Keith?
Maybe certainly amongst the best pickups the Mets ever made.
Yeah, definitely one of the best.
They seem to know how to pick up first baseman.
They do. Yeah, they do. There you go. First baseman Keith Hernandez. We'll move to.
They made a lot of bad calls and getting players, but Keith Hernandez was not one of them.
Keith Hernandez was not one of them, right? All right, we move to second base, and it's Fonzie, Edgardo Alfonso. Edgardo Antonio Alfonso. He was with the Mets for the first 8 years of his career, and then he was with the Giants for a few years and jumped around a little bit after that. Angels for a year, Blue Jays for a year. Went to Japan after that. He managed up until a couple of years ago. He managed the Mets minor league team in Brooklyn. Won the championship, too, a few years ago, right? And then unceremoniously, the Wilpons fired him. So, which is par for the course, typical. So, in any event, he was definitely, his glove was amazing, and his bat was even better. This again wasn't really close. Fonzie's definitely by far the best second baseman the Mets ever had. He was part of that best infield ever in baseball, but for the Mets in '99 with what you call John Olerud at first and Ordonez at short and Ventura at third. But that was, and statistically still to this day, the best infield ever in the Major League Baseball. But Fonzie, just a great second baseman all around, hitting, fielding, everything. He did it all. He started,
blue collar, worker guy.
Absolutely.
Dependable, reliable. There was nobody who didn't like him.
This is true. So, Harry, anything?
He's pretty good.
There you go.
It's no Willie Randolph, but pretty good.
There you go. Now, second baseman, Edgardo Alfonso. We move to third base, and who do you guys think this might be?
Howard Johnson.
Yeah, close. David Wright. David Allen Wright. Not David Allen Greer. David Allen White.
David Allen Wrench.
David Allen Greer was a good DH for many years.
He was for the Inland McCullough team, but he was with the Mets his entire career. Never was on another team. Definitely was a big part of the push in 86. Why am I keep saying that? In 2006, when for all intents and purposes, the Mets should have gone to and won the World Series, but and definitely came back in 2015 after being out for a couple months and helped out with the push to get to the World Series in 2015 too. But 7-time All-Star, 2-time Gold Glove Award, 2-time Silver Slugger Award. Just personify what it meant to be a Met. So, Pete, anything?
Yeah, unfortunately, some health problems.
Yeah.
It just took a lot of time, took a lot of him out of the game for a lot of time. And, he did his damnedest to find ways to deal with it with surgeries and all sorts of holistic treatments and stretching. And I think he would spend like 2.5 hours stretching before a game just to kind of get his back loose. But great player nonetheless. And pretty easy call for David Wright.
Yeah. There you go. Captain America.
He was a great two-way player,
He was.
Great defensive third baseman.
He was. There you go. Number 3. 3B. Number 3B.
Number 3B, David Wright.
3B. Yeah. I'm just so used to doing that. Out. Just so used to doing that.
He played third base, and he's 3B.
He's 3B. 3B. David Wright. There you go.
3C.
3C. So that would be... I forget who that was. Anyway, so we're moving on to shortstop. It's been a couple of really good shortstops for the Mets, but this one edged him out. Jose Bernabenes Reyes spent the first 9 years of his career with the Mets. Miami for a year, Toronto for 3 years, Rockies for a year, and back to the Mets for 3 years. He would have been... He's still the Mets' best shortstop ever, but he would have even been a better player had he never left the Mets in the first place. The bouncing around kind of took its toll a little bit. When he came back to the Mets, he wasn't what he was when he left. But still, just an amazing glove, an amazing presence at short, and his bat. I mean, for anybody can ground out triples like he could, and his speed on the bases was insane. So, 4-time All-Star. All with the Mets. Silver Slugger Award in 2006. National League batting champion his last year with the Mets in 2011, before he left, I should say. And 3-time National League stolen bases leader from 2005 through 2007. So that was, like I said, his speed was ridiculous. Pete, anything on Jose?
Yeah, I mean, you take, all the great defense of some of the other Met shortstops, and you had great hitting and absolutely phenomenal speed. He was kind of a throwback player in that sense. And that he was going to run and he was going to go, and he just did it on natural talent. And of course, when he leads the league in hitting, and then he ends up going somewhere else, that's just fucking genius on the part of the Mets.
Yeah, well, why wouldn't it be?
But there were, I don't know, I don't even remember there was some sort of controversy with him. Something he said. I can't even remember what it was, but
I don't like Jeff.
Maybe, yeah, something like that.
Something like that,
there's an asshole who owns this team, and I'm paraphrasing, but I don't even remember what it was. But I mean, he did have some domestic dispute or something like that, right?
Well, that was when he was in Colorado before he came back to the Mets.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, why would you get rid of a guy that was that good? Because he didn't kowtow to the idiocy.
Right. Well,
he wanted the Mets to be better, and he was outspoken about it.
A lot of there's been a lot of players like that.
Yeah,
but
I mean, look, there have been
that's changed now. So.
There have been a handful. Certainly, I think we can all speak for our lifetimes. We're all roughly the same age, of electric players in Mets history.
Sure.
I don't know, honestly, with the combination of all those tools, I don't know if there's anyone more electric than Jose Reyes.
No, he was quite the.
The only thing he didn't do really, really well was hit a lot of home runs.
Right. And he still banged a bunch of them out. I mean, he had 145 home runs for his entire career.
No, he was not a 3 home run a year guy, but
right for somebody that didn't hit home runs and put the ball in play and was a big extra bases hitter for the majority of his career. He still hit a good sample size of home runs.
He could beat you with his bat. He could beat you with his legs. He could beat you with his glove.
Right. Exactly.
And according to his wife, he could beat you with his hands.
Well, he did have good hands.
He did have a good pair of hands on him. So there you go. Shortstop. Jose Reyes. All right, we're going to move to the outfield. And here's a bit of a throwback for left field, Mr. Cleon Jones. Mr. Cleon Joseph Jones. He's the if you don't know who I'm talking about, if you ever saw Game 5, or at least footage of Game 5 of the '69 World Series, the last out made by the Orioles when the Mets actually clinched and won the World Series, caught by the outfielder who went down to a knee when he caught the ball. That was Cleon Jones. And who
hit that ball?
That would be Davey Johnson.
Yeah, that's right.
Davey Johnson, who the next time the Mets won the World Series was managing the Mets. So
he was on his knees in the dugout going, please.
Davey Johnson hit the ball for the Orioles, and Cleon Jones caught it, went down to a knee, and they interviewed him a bunch of times. I've seen a bunch of interviews. And they always ask him, "Why did you go down to a knee?" He says, "I don't know. I had to do something." He said, "I thought it was something interesting to do." It was the end of the World Series. We won, so he wanted to do something that was memorable. And sure enough, whether you liked it or not, it was definitely memorable. Going down to a knee like that. But hey, just a great left fielder. Great bat, great glove, great player. Solid.
Clutch in the '69 series.
Absolutely
a
clutch.
Huge part of that series.
That was his best year too. I mean, he was an all-star that year, and he did fairly well in the postseason that year as well. But yeah,
played his entire career for the Mets except his last year. He went to the White Sox for a little bit and just got him one more year of playing out there. But other than that, he was a lifelong Met. And from their second season on, went on. But yeah, he like you said, clutch. That was his best season. All-star and a World Series champion '69. So
played in 2 World Series.
Yep. Yes, he did.
Played in '73.
Played in '73
World Series.
Yes, he did. There you go. Left fielder Cleon Jones. All right, we'll move to center field. Center field was a bit of a sticky point because statistically, there's somebody that was better than this particular gentleman, but I think devotion-wise to the team and heart-wise to the team, and also because of a little craw that 2 of the 3 of us have in our side still for 2006. This gentleman won out. So on this particular list, our first team center fielder for the Mets is Mookie Wilson. Yes, Mookie William Hayward Mookie Wilson was his name. He wasn't born Mookie. That was not his given name. Played for the Mets from 1980 to 1989, 10 years, and then he played for the Blue Jays for a few years before he finished up. He's in the Mets Hall of Fame, won the World Series in '86. Had a career batting average of 274. Only had 67 home runs, but good RBI guy. Good play in center field, and if for nothing else, the little dribbler up the first base line that went through Buckner's legs, scoring Ray Knight in Game 6 of '86. That gets the man, the center field, first center field position.
Yeah, he was not statistically the best center fielder in Mets history. That wasn't much of a contest if you simply look at it that way.
He was consistent, though.
He was consistent, and he meant more to Met fans. And, of course, he was involved he hit what should have been an out. And, look, Buckner never should have been out there in the first place.
No, he shouldn't
in that situation.
Because he got hit, right? Aguilera hit him, right? I believe somebody hit him with the ball. I think it was Aguilera that hit him.
Yeah, well, his knees were shot. He never should have been out there.
Buckner's knees were shot.
Yeah, there should have been somebody better out there playing defense, especially at that point in the game. But look, Mookie is involved in one of the great moments in Mets history, a shining moment, and that other guy is involved in one of the darkest moments. And one guy came through, and the other guy didn't. So the guy that came through gets my shot.
There you go.
It gets my vote for greatest.
Exactly.
That was a weird year in baseball postseason play because you had the collapse of the Angels, which I still think they were a better team than the Red Sox in '86. And then you had this. I mean, it was just crazy. It was an interesting postseason that year for sure.
Yeah, it was. It was definitely an interesting postseason. The Mets were such a good team that year.
That Angels team was damn good.
Angels team was good, but the Mets were just such
Rod
a good
Carew and Reggie Jackson, baby.
There you go.
Doug DeCinces and the Penguin.
DeCinces, oh my God.
Yeah. They had some good players on that
Pull
Angels
up those
team.
names. Yeah, they did. And here we have a comment here from John Donovan watching. Said, you all know Beltran was a much better player. Colt, third striker, not. Buckner, ball or not. Yes, I said it. We know, John, yes. But you agree with us, though, don't you?
Somebody had Beltran first.
Yeah.
But I don't have quite the personal strife that you guys
you don't have quite the personal strife that the two of us, or three, actually, because John Donovan wasn't too happy with him in 06 either, if I recall.
Sometimes you got to look past the numbers.
Exactly. Hey, sometimes you got to look past the numbers. I thought you were going to say sometimes you got to look past the mistakes. Nope. Sometimes you got to look past the numbers.
You got to look past.
You went the other way around. And then he also commented, Dave Stapleton should have been in. So, hey, well, it was a good thing he wasn't, right? When it comes down to it, it was a good thing he wasn't. So. Yes. Carlos Beltran was a statistically a much better center fielder than Mookie Wilson. I won't say much better, just a better center fielder than Mookie Wilson. But
he was considerably better.
Yeah. But
look, I mean, I will admit when I kind of went through the positions and I went center field and I went, well, Beltran was really the best center fielder they ever had.
Beltran was the best center fielder.
No way I'm voting for that guy.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of this too is when you say like the number one team or the number one players, best players all time. If we're just doing stats, yeah, that's one thing. But I'm bringing heart into you know what? I mean, Mookie's ball that went through Buckner's legs. That it didn't go through Buckner's legs because of the way Mookie hit it. It went through Buckner's legs because Buckner didn't.
Yeah, because Buckner couldn't bend his knees.
He couldn't get down to pick up the ball.
Yeah.
So in retrospect, yes, Beltran probably belongs in this position. But for this list tonight, we put Mookie. So there you go.
That's why I'm not a professional broadcaster.
There you go. Well, you are.
Too much heart. I put too much heart.
I still think the 86 Angels would have won.
There you go. Yes, you do. So
I mean, do you want to hear the starting team?
No, because they didn't win.
They didn't win,
and they didn't even play in the World Series.
Go ahead. Well, I'll take Mookie Wilson over here. We'll pause before we move on. You read the starting team for the
Bob Boone, Wally Joyner, Bobby Grich, Dick Schofield, Doug DeCinces, Brian Downing, Gary Pettis, Rupert Jones, and Reggie Jackson. With Devin White and Mark McLemore coming off the bench, they had Mike Witt, Don Sutton, John Candelaria, and Kirk McCaskill as their starting pitchers. I'm telling you, man, if it wasn't for poor Donnie Moore, that Angels team is destined. Anyway.
I hear you.
Yeah, they're right up there. There was some good baseball.
There was good. There was really good baseball. There was really
year.
Good baseball in the 80s. But
that Red Sox team wasn't too shabby either. And the Mets team, that was obviously a great Mets team.
It was a great Mets team. The Mets had a great team for
who did
4
the Mets,
or 5 years.
Who did the Mets beat in the
NLCS?
Yeah,
Houston.
That's right.
Houston was in the National League then.
Yep. So, I still think they're in the National League, even though I know that they're not. Still think the Milwaukee Brewers are
Milwaukee Brewers. Well, they flip-flop with Milwaukee. Yeah. Milwaukee was in the American
Brewers
League.
Brewers have switched twice in our lifetimes, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Mookie Wilson.
Mookie Wilson. All right, we'll move on to right field. Wait a minute. We got another comment here. Let's just see what it said. John Donovan said, Mets had a better team. Mets had a better team.
And we'll never know.
And he's just, for the record, he loves Mookie.
Well, no,
we'll never know.
We do know because they won.
We know.
And that's the test.
But they didn't play each other.
This is
true.
True.
So obviously the Angels were not good. They weren't good enough to get there.
They weren't good enough to get there.
How could they be a better team if they weren't good enough to get there?
Right. So, I think I don't know.
It's something of a convoluted sense of logic.
Sense of logic, but it works for this conversation. It works. So.
I know.
All right, let's move on to right field. Right field D. I wonder who we're picking for right field.
Gosh.
This is Jay Bruce, right?
I think so.
Jay Bruce, yes.
If only he'd been with the team another year, he might have a shot.
I know, possibly. Darryl Strawberry, folks. Darryl Strawberry. Darryl Eugene Strawberry first appeared for the Mets in '83. Played 8 seasons with the Mets. Went to the Dodgers for 3 seasons. The Giants for a season, and then played on the Yankees for 4 years. Won another couple World Series with
3.
Another few World Series. Excuse me, I was just using it as a figure of speech. But you want to be exact? There you go. Another 3 World Series with the Yankees. In any event, and that's always a trivia question, right? Here you go. I'll give this to you. Who is the only person to be specifically, involved in one way, shape, or form with all 4 New York baseball teams? Anybody? Anyone?
All 4 New York baseball teams?
The Mets, the Yankees, the New York Giants, and the Brooklyn Dodgers. Obviously an older player.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it?
Definitely Mookie Wilson.
Only that. Only one person.
Joe Torre.
Not Joe Torre. No.
I don't know. Tell us, John.
I will tell you. That would be Casey Stengel.
Casey Stengel. There you go. Casey Stengel.
However, Darryl Strawberry was also somebody that was involved with the Mets,
those
Yankees,
4 teams,
the same teams, but the other 2 were in California when he was there. So that's all. That's the only reason I brought it up. Anyway, 8-time All-Star, 4-time World Series champion, NL Rookie of the Year in '83, 2-time Silver Slugger Award, National League home run leader in '88, in the Mets Hall of Fame. And he's a great guy too. He may have had issues, back in the day, but. Not as many as some other players. We can get into that at another point in time. But by far, with his bat and his glove in the field, the best right fielder the Mets ever did have. Pete?
Yeah, Straw. Unfortunate that he had issues with drugs.
Yeah.
It was the 80s.
Yeah,
It was the 80s.
yeah, and apparently that, especially that. That '86 team and some of the teams there in the later '80s was a bit of a zoo in every sense of the word.
It really was. It's unfortunate too because you take him and I'll get to it in a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean you can say, oh, geez, what would he have done? If he hadn't, if he'd stayed clean and hadn't lost time and blah blah. But I mean, the guy still won 4 World Series. It's not like he had 3 good years and then disappeared into rehab,
Right.
It was amazing the way
and that was it.
Yeah, he dealt with it for as long as he did and was still able to play. That's kind of the thing that makes you go, wow, what would he have done if he was able to, to deal with that and still be the great player that he was.
Right. I agree.
He was a physical specimen, and he had one of the sweetest swings I've ever seen.
He really did.
Yeah, I mean, and for a couple of years there, you could argue he was maybe the best player in baseball.
Yeah, he was definitely one of them, if not the best position player in baseball. That was for sure. And and then there were a lot of players on the Mets that was, some of the pitching was ridiculous too. We'll get to that right now. But as far as right field goes, the last two position players for our first team would be right field, Darryl Strawberry. All right, let's move on to our pitching staff. We got 5 starters, and we're going to start off with the franchise himself. Starting pitcher 1 would be Mr. Tom Seaver. Tom Terrific. He in '69 he went 25-7 that year with a 2.21 ERA and 208 strikeouts. His 25 wins are still a single season Mets record. And the way DeGrom gets run support, I don't think there's any risk of that changing anytime soon. So, but in any event,
I think he was. Did he make our list of all time top pitchers?
Yeah,
Seaver,
yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was on. Yeah, he was on our list. Yeah.
Tom Terrific. What the guy was incredible, and a good guy, and a role model. Definitely somebody you. Definitely wouldn't mind if your kids want to be like Tom Seaver.
No, definitely not. But hey, I that's the wrong list here. There's what can you say about Tom Seaver? I mean, he was with the Mets. They in that trade was at 75, and when he went to the Reds, that was a horrible thing. That should have never happened. But he should have been.
That was not one of their better moves.
That was not at all, not at all one of their better moves by any means. But yeah, he was. I don't know, just crazy. But he was brought up in 67. He became the first Met to win National League Rookie of the Year. He went 16-13 with a 2.76 ERA in 67, and then went 16-12 in 68, and then 69. Like we said, went 25-7. But he really was the franchise. He personified the Mets, and along with Mike Piazza, he closed out Shea Stadium and opened up Citi Field. Right, so the last pitch thrown at Shea Stadium was Seaver to Piazza, and the first pitch thrown at Citi Field was the same. So, Harry, anything on Tom Terrific?
I mean, he's the best Met of all time. I don't think there's anybody close. And I think what people don't realize is that in that 69 World Series, he lost game 1. Yeah. Came back and pitched a 10-inning complete game in game 4. Mm-hmm. Winning, the Mets won 2-1.
2-1. And there were close games in the 69.
I mean, he's the thing with Tom Seaver has always been he's just always been consistently good. And yes, he doesn't have the postseason attempts or he wasn't afforded the postseason opportunity that a lot of other great pitchers have had. Mm-hmm. But, he did something much like Joe Namath. He is to the Mets what Joe Namath was to the Jets. Right. Totally different person, totally different way of carrying himself, totally different way of actually performing, because he was, unlike Namath, he was one of the best, if not the best at his position during that time. Right. I just think he's the best Met of all time. And look, I think someday DeGrom might be there right next to him. You'll be talking about both of them together. Yeah, but you could take so there's going to be another guy on this list, and of course Strawberry and Mike Piazza and Hernandez and Cleon Jones. You take all those guys. The first you'd say the Mets, name a Met, and unless you're 12 years old, you're gonna say Tom Seaver.
Sure, absolutely.
He's Mr. Met.
He is. The franchise. Tom Terrific. Tom Seaver.
12-time All-Star. 3-time Cy Young Award winner.
3-time Cy Young Award winner. Yeah, and his win-loss record in 72 was definitely one of my favorites. He went 21-12. So Rush fans really like that. But in any event, there you go. Starting pitcher number 1, Tom Seaver. All right, we'll on to starting pitcher number 2, Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom gets the slot in for the second starting pitcher. I mean, he's just been amazing. I mean, he's the best. As a lot of people have said, a lot of sports pundits, in the last little bit have said, he's the best pitcher in the world right now. And he really is. And this is amazing too, because in college he was a shortstop. He got brought up in 2014 to go in the bullpen and pitch some long relief, and look where he is now. It would just be, I'm so glad that he won the 2 Cy Youngs that he's won. And of course they were in 2018 and 2019. He's a 3-time All-Star, obviously, in 18 and 19, also in 2015, and a 2-time first team MLB first team in 19 and last year. But Rookie of the Year in 2014, ERA leader in 2018. It was amazing. And strikeout leader last year and the year before. And he's just so dominant on the mound. It's ridiculous. And if he could only get some of the run support that he really should have, he probably have almost twice the wins that he has. He's 71-52. He'd be 120 something and 22. Between run support and bullpens not closing them out. Anyway, what can you say, Pete?
Yeah, I don't know. I have trouble putting Jacob DeGrom on this list right now because while he is a phenomenal pitcher and he is a Met, through no fault of his own, of course, they haven't won with him.
No.
And again, it's not his fault. He has not gotten run support, and a lot of games have been blown. I don't know if I can put somebody on a team's all-time great list.
Well, they've won with him. They haven't won a World Series with him. They've
that's
gotten
what I mean.
to a
They
World Series with him.
haven't.
They haven't won a championship with him, but they've won playoff series.
Yeah,
So.
But that's if Tom Seaver won some playoff series, we'd still be talking about him. And also, there's got to be
Let me use your logic. I think the winning part I don't necessarily agree with. If you want to say it doesn't have enough of a resume, I understand that.
Well, that's part of it too.
Let's just say who you had as your number one catcher. Granted,
right.
Did they ever really win with him?
No, they didn't win with.
Piazza, but he was
Just using your own logic.
No, Gary Carter was a close second.
Right?
Yeah. I'm just
because
saying.
Only because of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
I hear you. I had no problem putting DeGrom on this list just because he's that good.
Yeah, he's dominant and he's incredible.
And how many years has he been on the Mets now?
This is his 8th year.
Yeah. So it's not like
it's not a big sample. It's not a small sample.
No.
He's right kind of at that, the Koufax line, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would put David Cohn on this list and the Yankees list. And I don't think he pitched 8 years for either of them.
He didn't pitch 8 years for either the Mets or the Yankees.
Yeah.
And the next player on this list didn't pitch 8 years for the Mets. So
of course, I suppose if I'd actually picked 5 pitchers, I might have put them on.
This is true.
I guess I didn't understand the assignment. I think I only picked 3, right?
I think we massaged it a little bit, but hey,
I couldn't. I wanted to have DeGrom on this, and there's a couple other pitchers that I added that I thought deserved to be on this, especially because of their. A lot of people don't realize how good they were. Yeah, I mean Tom Seaver was good, but there was some other pitchers on that team that were really good. Same thing in '86. I mean that Mets team. Everybody talks about Dwight Gooden, but they were kind of maybe the first team in baseball to really, really have a stacked bullpen and just go really deep with their middle relief pitchers. So I mean, I think DeGrom belongs up here. And look, I hope he follows in the footsteps of Darryl Strawberry and David Cohn, and comes across the river.
I'm not upset with him being on the list.
No,
I'm just
I know you're not.
Not as willing to put him on.
Look, I could argue right now that the two. I think I can honestly say this. I don't know if you guys would agree with me. I think the two best pitchers in baseball are in New York, and I'm not sure either of them are going to win World Series in their prime.
Yeah. That's true. And if you want to, you're talking about obviously DeGrom and Cole.
Yeah.
And as far as that goes, probably the third best pitcher in Major League Baseball is in Cleveland, and is he going to win?
Right.
Shea Bieber, is he going to win one?
Right. Although, what's his name on the Dodgers is looking pretty darn good.
Yeah, well, I mean he's always
Bueller.
Good,
I mean, not a.
I know you. I know not Kershaw, but
yeah. And not what's his name? But yeah, look. DeGrom and Cole are kind of cut from the same cloth. I think DeGrom's, he's kind of a throwback and kind of the futuristic pitcher. I can't really quite figure him out. There's nobody that he reminds me of from the past.
Well, as long as the batters can't figure him out.
Right. I mean, it's not all power. It's fantastic location. I mean, he's, maybe a little bit of Ron Guidry.
I think it's confidence probably as much as anything else. There are a lot of guys who can have really good stuff, but they don't have confidence in it. It changes the way you throw. DeGrom always seems like whatever pitch he's going to throw, he feels like it is absolutely the right pitch. And, most of the time it is. So I guess it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I would say that's to me, that's probably. I mean, yes, he's got great stuff, but the confidence to throw that pitch. Because when you feel like you're doing the right thing, you're gonna, it's gonna be more natural. You're not worried about being too perfect with it, and you let your talent, you let that muscle memory take over, and you give it your best because you feel like this is definitely the right pitch for right now.
And he's a big guy, yet he doesn't. He's what is he 6'4", 6'5"? He doesn't come across as that sometimes to be. He has this great ability to balance power and precision and the confidence thing. And that's why he reminds me of Ron Guidry. Even though Guidry was a southpaw and had a much different kind of delivery, there's something elastic about Jacob deGrom that I can't really quite explain, but he just has something that other pitchers don't have. And it's the ability to really, when he has to, it's in his approach to how he pitches. He can go deep into games, and you don't really see him losing steam, which is getting back to what we talked about last week. Is that I'd love to see him go deeper into games.
It would be nice if they let him, but that was in the beginning of the season. I think that's happened now. I mean, he did pitch. Right. He was what he pitched. He pitched a complete game last week, but it was a 7-inning. The 7-inning double.
Yeah, that was news that we had a couple guys that pitched 7 whole innings.
Well, and he pitched here in Denver.
Yeah.
So
you got to figure guys will be stretched out by the end of April.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, well, there you go.
Does a 7-inning complete game count as a complete game, or does it get a little asterisk next to it?
Game
should have an asterisk next to it.
Should, but wait, we got a comment here. Who's commenting? John Donovan. He's commenting. He also added a 4 to 5 miles an hour to his fastball, which is unprecedented. He did.
Well, that's the steroids.
Take up DeGrom taking steroids. That's funny.
You say he's not big and imposing now. Just give him another year.
Oh yeah.
He's big and imposing. He's just it's not all power with him.
No, but he's not
Aroldis Chapman's big and opposing, and he makes me nervous every time he takes.
No, but DeGrom is he's not bulky. He's somewhere between a guy like Chapman or
he's
Armando
more like
Benitez.
He's kind of more like Mariano Rivera, who's kind of built exactly. Although he's taller, but he just seems to have that elasticity in his arm that very few pitchers ever do. And much like Tom Seaver, he just seems to have the mechanics down where it's just every time out.
Yeah, he does.
Number two,
starting pitcher number 2, SP2, Jacob deGrom. All right. Let's move on to starting pitcher number 3. Of course, this would be Dwight Gooden. Not a different name to the show. Last week we did the K-Corner show. It was all about Doc Gooden and everything else. But, he's let's see. What do we got? In 1984, Gooden went 17-9 with a 2.60 ERA and a career-high 276 strikeouts. And he followed it up in 85 with 24 wins and only 4 losses with a 1.53 ERA and 268 strikeouts and a Cy Young. So, he had a few amazing years there. And unfortunately, like we talked about before, drugs, and all that he got into derailed that. And it's unfortunate, you couple him seriously. We've said this before. Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, both of them should have roller skated into Cooperstown. First ballot, bang, bang, boom, right in. And drugs derailed it. And they should be, along with a lot of other people, and I'm not just pointing them and singling them out, but they should be definitely the cautionary tales that are shown to a lot of players. And, it's sad, but, they were able to revive their careers. And obviously, Strawberry won 3 other World Series with the Yankees, and Gooden did come back on that 96 team. I keep saying 86. You got to play that number tonight.
Well, those were the glory years.
Those are the glory years, yeah.
You're a Mets fan.
I know.
All you do is go 86, 86, 86, 86, 86, 86, 86.
But with the Yankees in 96, and Gooden, got another World Series. So, but in any event, Doc Gooden was just, when he came up, it was just amazing. It was electric. It was crazy. And, and you're watching this. If you didn't check out our K-Corner episode, which is about a week and a half ago. Check that out because there's a lot of fun stuff and a lot of good information in there about all that went on back then. It was pretty cool. So check that out.
I still think one of the best pitching duels I've ever seen was Gooden against Oral Hershiser in, what was that, 87, maybe 88, NLCS 88. Yeah, just incredible.
Yeah, well,
157 and 85 as a Met with a 3.10 ERA. That's
he never won a postseason game.
2,169.2 innings pitched, 123 home runs given up. That's a pretty good number.
That's pretty good.
67 complete games and 23 shutouts. I mean,
but again, never won a postseason game.
Yeah.
Nope.
No, he didn't.
So, and let me tell you something too, that Gooden and Strawberry and a lot of those Mets on those 80s teams had for him. They were the talk of the town. I mean, they were the talk of the town for good at first, and then
other things happened
because of
we're not so good at,
and then not so
well,
good.
Yeah, but they were they were highly loved by the media, and they made them much like the Nets now with Durant and Harden and Flat Earther. The Mets back then, man, they were way more the talk of the town than the Yankees in those years.
All the things you could choose from to make fun of Kyrie.
I couldn't remember his name. Yeah.
How about personal days? Personal days, Kyrie.
Tell you what, man. Again, if you want to come across the river, you're more than welcome. Crazy bastard.
We'll get into it later, but I think the toast of the town right now of anybody is Julius Randle. But we'll get into more of that after the break.
Whatever. I won't say anything now.
Let's
get through this list. We're already
get through this hit,
at 92 minutes into this list.
So 92 minutes into the list, not the show.
This is a long list.
That's a long list. All right.
Starting pitcher. The rest of them.
Starting pitcher 3.
Jerry Kuzman.
Well, we can move a little faster. There you go. Starting pitcher number 3 was Dwight Gooden. All right, we'll move to starting pitcher number 4, Jerry Kuzman.
Yeah. He didn't do coke. Next guy.
He was good, old school guy.
69. He went 17-9 with a 2.29 ERA and 180 strikeouts.
And he was great in the postseason.
He was awesome in the postseason.
Yeah.
Jerry Kuzman.
Jersey
Kuzman.
I didn't put Jersey. How did that even happen?
Jersey Kuz. When I hear
R is a couple of keys away from the S. John.
When you hear Jersey Kuz, then hey, I think I got the Jersey Kuz. I'm like, oh fuck, that's.
Listen, this was acceptable.
You got to get to the clinic.
This was acceptable when you were doing the beer cast, an hour before we came on, but not now. Can't blame it on the logger.
I don't understand that because I type it here and then I copy it and paste it over here, and it says Jerry over here. So I don't know how it got the Jersey over here.
I don't know.
That's crazy. But anyway, Jerry
Kuzman was great.
See, I wasn't talking about Jerry Kuzman. I was talking about Jersey Kuzman. It's his cousin. So, but anyway, no, Jerry Kuzman was great. One of the best Mets. He's he's drafted in 64. Made his professional debut in 67. Didn't really do too well that year. He went 0-2 with a 6.04 ERA, but he just was lights out after that. 19 games he won the year after with a 2.08 ERA, 178 strikeouts. 69 was crazy, and on from there. It just check it out. But he's number 4 on our list.
And I think the only Met to be arrested and spend 6 months in jail on tax evasion.
Possibly.
Yeah.
That's the Jersey part of it.
That's the Jersey part.
Yeah. Overall, he was only 3 games over 500 in his Mets career.
Yeah.
But look at 140, 137, 108 complete games.
Well, he had his best years in 68 and 69.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Jerry Kuzman, not to be confused with Jersey Kuzman.
Jersey Kuzman.
Jerry Kuzman.
Jersey Kuzman.
And rounding out our top 5 starting pitchers for this particular lineup.
Nice. I had no idea who this was.
Sid Fernandez.
Again, kind of an underrated, forgotten man.
Yeah, El Cid.
El Cid.
Yeah,
Originally came up with the Dodgers, and then went over the Mets. But yeah, he
sort of toiled in obscurity even when he was playing well. I think
he went 16-6 in '86, 200 strikeouts.
He's a young guy still, Sid Fernandez.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll wrap up Sid on that note, or
listen, he was 14-5 in '89 and 114 in '96 overall. So,
well, his biggest moment
for the Mets, that is
his biggest moment.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, 98 and 114 and 96 overall, 98 and 78, 20 games over in 10 years for the Mets.
Yeah. No,
which that's 2 a year,
right?
But he was a quality guy.
He was.
I don't think he was. Well, I mean, not that 16-6 is anything to sneeze about.
Pitched for 15 years.
Yeah,
and tried to do more. He showed up in 2001 at Yankees spring training.
Yeah, he was not regularly spectacular, but he was quality.
He was. And in Game 7 of the '86 World Series,
Ron
Darling was money, and Ron Darling was struggling at one point in the game. They pulled him. Johnson pulled him and put in Fernandez. He retired 7 straight batters in a row. To get to obviously, and then somebody on this list and a couple of names closed it out after that, but we'll get there.
Well, Fernandez has the 4th lowest ratio of hits allowed per innings pitched in Major League history, behind only Nolan Ryan, Clayton Kershaw, and Sandy Koufax.
That's crazy.
Led the league in hits per 9 3 seasons.
Yeah.
All of them right around.
He was also a guy who didn't always have the best run support behind him.
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah. I mean, that's a common occurrence.
He was there for some of the bad years too.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he hung around throughout those early '90s bad times. So
we
won't talk about them.
The glory days of the '90s.
Exactly. There you go. Starting pitcher number 5, Sid Fernandez. All right, we'll get to our relief pitchers, and that's our number 1, our first team. There you go. So relief pitcher number 1, Johnny Franco. Johnny Franco. He still holds the Mets franchise record with 276 career saves. Of course, he pitched for 75 years to get. No, I'm kidding. But just a joke. No, Johnny Franco's Mr. Met.
The only Franco who played longer was Julio Franco.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Johnny Franco was just. I mean, he was one of those guys that personified the Mets.
James Franco's dad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Why not?
Sure, he taught him everything he knew about acting. I mean, anything that had to be done. He'd play Santa Claus every year. John Franco did, right? But
sure.
He went through a couple of tough times there in the '90s, but definitely one of the best relief pitchers for the Mets, right?
Yeah, I mean, '86 he threw 101 innings. That's a lot.
Yeah,
for a reliever. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, Franco was, he was that guy. He was Johnny Franco, kind of abrasive, but he was a tough guy and a fighter, and
he was the John Leguizamo of the Mets.
Yeah, really. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But in any event, number 1 relief pitcher on this list, John Franco. All right, let's move on to relief pitcher number 2. That would be Jesse Orozco. Jesse Orozco, in '86, he racked up 21 saves, which was very clutch throughout the playoffs, and was very clutch throughout the playoffs, I should say. But he, after that, after Sid Fernandez came in, and picked up from where Ron Darling left off in that Game 7, that's a scene right there. The ball going through Buckner's legs in Game 6, and then, of course, Jesse Orozco throwing his mitt up in the air, and Gary Carter rushing out to grab him. That's when they won the World Series. That was that scene there. So, but Jesse Orozco, just a lights out relief pitcher for the Mets.
And opened up a number of Red Lobsters, I believe, right after that.
Yeah.
From 79 to 2003.
Photomats. He opened up Photomats.
Kinko's.
Right.
Early Kinko's.
Early Kinko's, right.
Yeah. He pitched till he was like 46 years old or something outrageous.
He's a good pitcher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when the Mets, whatchamacallit, they got him in the deal when they traded Jerry Guzman from in '78. So,
yep.
But yeah, he just a really good relief pitcher from that. Anyway, relief pitcher number 2, Jesse Roscoe. We'll throw it back before that to the yesteryear, if you will, for relief pitcher number 3, Tug McGraw. Tug McGraw, he went 8-6, tied his career high in 73 rather, with 1.70 ERA, and set another career high with 27 saves, and 5-6. With a 3.87 ERA and 25 saves in 73, that was. So he coined the phrase, you got to believe. That was him. And he didn't spend his entire career with the Mets. He went to the Phillies after that. But he did manage to have his son, Tim, who a lot of people know now. So we got a bunch of comments here. And there's John here. We'll comment those afterwards.
Tug McGraw. I think that's an Urban Dictionary entry as well.
Yeah, you look at him in the early 70s, 71 and 72. He's throwing over 100 innings.
Mm-hmm.
And he's at 111 and 71, 106 and 72. ERA of $1.70.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
Such a dominant ERA. Yeah. He was so crazy good. But. And then that'll bring us out of...
Is he more of a Met or more of a Philly?
Oh, he's more of a Met.
I remember...
I think he was with the Phillies for 1 year longer, but...
I think I remember him as both, but I think he was maybe in the spotlight a little bit more as a Philly. Just because of those years that... didn't they go to the World Series with him? And
look at 1980... 146 ERA, 79 he was up over 5, and then 81 266. So he still had some good years in him as far as ERA, but didn't pitch nearly as much. You look at him with the Mets,
they pitched him many years. He was 65 to 74 with the Mets, and 75 to 84 with the.
But in the Mets, he was throwing 100, 90, 106, 118 innings, 88 innings.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like he was around forever.
Yeah, well, it's a long career, 19 years.
He was a 2-time All-Star, once with the Mets and once with the Phillies. He was a 2-time World Series champion, once with the Mets and once with the Phillies.
Yeah.
So
I think I just remember him more as a Philly because I wasn't really conscious during his time with the Mets. We were just too young.
Right. Yeah. So, but he just. He was one of those guys that you wanted in the clubhouse,
Yeah.
Just the cheerleader, if you will, too. But especially with the whole, you got to believe. There you go. Relief pitcher number 3, Tug McGraw. So we'll move on to relief pitcher number 4, is Roger McDowell. Roger McDowell. He had an amazing 14-9 record out of the bullpen in '86 with along with a 3.02 ERA and 22 saves. He was lights out then too. Pete?
Yeah, McDowell was pretty phenomenal. 5 years with the Mets and 4 with the Dodgers, 3 with the Phillies. He was productive throughout all of them.
Yeah, one of the more undersung pitchers in the history of the game.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember him definitely as a Met.
Roger Allen McDowell, and then when he retired from baseball, he opened up a McDonald's knockoff food store, restaurant.
McDowell's
in Jamaica, Queens.
I thought it was a woodworking shop.
He's a little nutty. If you ever listen to him, he's a little nutty.
Yeah, a little bit. Still, he was a coach with the Orioles up until a couple of years ago. So.
And the Braves, wasn't he a pitching coach for the Braves?
He was a coach for the Braves for 11 years. He was a coach for the Braves.
I stand corrected. He also made a cameo in a 2-part episode of Seinfeld called He was in the same 2 episodes as Keith Hernandez.
Was he?
Yeah.
There you go.
But was he Roger McDowell in those episodes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, he was.
Roger McDowell. I neither of you like my McDowell's joke from Coming to America, but never mind.
Well, we try to speed the thing along and not bring too much attention to the.
I get you.
To the dad joke.
So relief pitcher number 4, Roger McDowell. All right, and then rounding it out, relief pitcher number 5, and who we would want in as our closer, Mr. Billy Wagner. This guy. In 2006, he went 3-2 out of the bullpen with a 2.24 ERA, racked up 40 saves, struck out 94 batters in just 72.1 innings pitched. That's a feat. That's really good. I mean, Billy Wagner was lights out. He really was. And I still, again, I said it even before in this particular diatribe. Billy Wagner should have been a World Series champion with the Mets in 2006, but we'll leave that alone. So, Pete?
Yeah, he was, again, another one of those moves that paid off. He came to the Mets. He was good when he got there, and he was good when he was there. So, I think he was kind of a dickhead, though, right? Wasn't that the word on Billy Wagner? But
yeah, he was only with the Mets.
I can't speak from personal experience, but
he was only with the Mets for 4 years too.
Yeah. I think of it when I think of him as an Astro for some reason.
Yeah. That's.
He was an Astro for 9 years. For first 9 years of his career.
I mean, if you look over the course of his career, he had seasons of 39 saves twice, 35, 44, 38, 40, 34. I mean, this guy was
40 saves. Yeah, that's incredible.
40 and 44 saves. I mean, that's and this is the early 2000s. But yeah, wasn't with the Mets very long, but definitely made an impression.
He definitely made an impression. Yeah.
And
Billy the Kid.
Yeah, but I don't know. I forget why he didn't stick around longer. Maybe they weren't willing to pay him, or
it was winding down his career too. I mean, he got late in the season. He went to the Red Sox and then pitched a year for the Braves after that, and that was it. He retired.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess. Those last 2 years with the Mets, he was not.
Rumor has it that he used to call out the same guy that you didn't want being number on this list. So seriously,
yeah, it's rumor has that.
Oh yeah, supposedly he was pretty hard on Beltran and Delgado back in the day. Yep.
All right. Well, I like him.
That's the word on the street. There you go. So, relief pitcher number 5 and our closer Billy Wagner. Okay. I'll reread the list really quick. Catcher, Mike Piazza. First base, Keith Hernandez. Second base, Edgardo Alfonso. Third base, David Wright. Shortstop, Jose Reyes. Left field, Cleon Jones. Center field, Mookie Wilson, even though there's an issue there with some people.
There's no issue.
No issue.
Right field, Darryl Strawberry. Starting pitchers, Tom Seaver, Jacob deGrom, Dwight Gooden, Jerry Kuzman, and Sid Hernandez. And our relief pitchers, John Franco, Jesse Roscoe, Tug McGraw, Roger McDowell, and Billy Wagner. And just in case you're wondering, our second team that we picked, catcher, Gary Carter. First base, Ed Kranepool. Second base, Wally Backman. Third base, Howard Johnson. Shortstop, Buddy Harrelson. Left field, Kevin McReynolds. Center field, Beltran. Mr. Carlos Beltran. Right field, Michael Conforto. Michael Conforto statistically is the second best right fielder the Mets have ever had.
I almost wanted to put Kingman there, but Kingman's numbers just don't stack up.
Right.
Yeah. When you really look at them.
Right. And then our starting pitchers and relief pitchers for the second team. Starting pitchers, John Matlack, Ron Darling, Al Leiter, David Cohn, and Bobby Ojeda. And our relief pitchers would be Turk Wendell, Randy Myers, Ron Taylor, Neil Allen, and Armando Benitez.
Fuck that guy.
There you go. Well, that'll wind it out. A lot of good players, though. I mean, you throw John Olerud or even Todd Zeile in there on first base. They were great players too for the Mets.
Olerud wasn't around very long.
He wasn't around very long.
No. He's more of a Blue Jay, maybe.
Yeah. Shortstop Aradonios was great. Third base Ray Knight was there too. Center field Tommy Agee. Whatchamacallit? Dave Kingman. He was there. Rusty Staub in right field.
Yeah, Staub is the guy that you can.
Ron Swoboda in right field. Even Curtis Granderson in right field.
I had Curtis Granderson on my list, I think.
Yeah. You calling me a homer?
And then
I like Curtis Granderson.
He was a good guy. He was good. He was good on.
Well, he was a Tiger too.
Sure. And then even like other starting pitchers. I mean, Pedro. Pedro was good, still good for the Mets when he was there. Rick Reed, Yohan Santana, Frank Viola. He won a World Series with the Twins and came to the Mets, and then even Rick Regulera.
Don't forget about Cespedes.
I did. Who?
He was great when he was on the field both days.
Oh yeah. He was great for both days. Yeah.
Both days he was on the field.
Both days he was on the field. Well,
and despite the accident, the most prolific boar hunter that the Mets have ever had.
But most prolific wild boar hunter, absolutely, by far. All right, that'll bring us to our segment that we always do after our list, and that would be Old Balls. Old Balls. Harry, tell us who our Old Balls recipient is tonight.
Our Old Balls recipient is none other than the MVP of the 1969 championship, Mason Mets, Mr. Don with two N's, Clendenon. That's right, Mr. Don Clendenon, who I believe came to the Mets mid-season that year.
Yep,
was platooning with Ed Creampool at first base.
He was.
And, really kind of caught on towards the end of the year and became their best player in that postseason in a lot of ways. He did not appear in the 1969 National League Championship Series where they swept the Braves in 3 games, but he played 4 of the 5 games in the 1969 World Series, missing only Game 3. He went 2 for 4 in Game 1, scoring the Mets' only run in their 4-1 loss. He hit a 4th inning home run in Game 2 and a 2nd inning home run in Game 4, and was named the World Series MVP. And I'm wondering, is it possible that he might be the only player in history to win a World Series MVP with not playing in the National League or American League Championship Series that be leading up to it? I mean,
it's very possible.
Yeah,
it's very possible.
Yeah. His 3 home runs remain tied for most home runs in a 5-game series with Ryan Howard from the 2008 World Series.
Yeah, he did it first, and then
post baseball. I mean, he went on did he finish his career with the Mets, or did he? I think he finished his career with the Mets.
He played a year with the Cardinals when he was
the Cardinals. That's right. And then he retired, returned to Pittsburgh, and became a lawyer. Began practicing law in Dayton, Ohio. And wrote a good book called Miracle in New York.
Yep.
So he also dealt with some drug addiction and some hard times, and passed away at the age of 70 in 2005. But kind of a forgotten Met, and one of those guys who, much like the manager of the Yankees, is kind of remembered for one really great series.
Yeah.
MVP. Can't take that away. Mr. Don Clendenon.
That's for sure. And
then I mean, what, 2.5 years, 72 games in 69, 120 in 1970, and 88 in 71.
Yep.
That's the sum total of his Mets career, but I guess he made the most of it.
He made the most of it, that was for sure. Yeah. Just platooning and everything. I mean, Ed Creampool was there, so it wasn't like he was going to get,
Yeah.
But
he was the Don Baylor of his time.
Well, there you go. Don Clendenon, our Old Balls this week. Old Balls. There you go. So I guess I should take the picture off now. What do you think?
Great picture.
That was a good picture.
Yeah.
That was a great picture, actually. That was definitely a good picture.
Hey, the Yankees are winning.
Really?
Although they just had 2 guys on and Gardner popped out, but they're up 6-3. Looks like heading to the bottom of the 9th.
There you go.
There you go. So maybe they'll win it tonight.
There you go. And the Mets are losing.
And what's the score?
3-2.
3-2.
3-2 in the 6th.
3-2 in the 6th. And who started pitching tonight?
For the Mets?
Mets, yeah.
Lucchesi. I
Joey,
believe it's pronounced.
Lucchesi.
Lucchesi. The Lucchesi.
Joey Lucchesi.
He's throwing a big meatball up there.
It's Joey
And
Lucchesi.
Higashioka has homered. I think that's his third homer of the year, and I think he's played in 4 games.
So it's a good thing that Gary Sanchez is the.
But if you put him in, is he one of those backup catchers that's going to make the most of his opportunities and be great unless he starts, and then he's going to just be mediocre?
Well, you're never going to know unless you do that.
I'll take mediocre would be an incredible upgrade.
Well, that's kind of
with a much better defensive presence behind the plate.
If he hit like 260,
oh God, yeah,
you'd be thrilled.
Oh yeah,
maybe 260 and what? Maybe 19, 20, 21,
75 RBIs. I'll take it.
Yeah, maybe 19 home runs and 75 RBIs.
And the ability to catch a ball when it bounces in the dirt.
Your catcher production would be tripled.
Yeah,
right.
We still have Chapman to come, so it's not over yet.
Right. So, oh well, let's move on to a little NFL news. We got the next week is the draft. We're a week away, exactly a week away. Right now, a week from now, right about. I would say right about now, a week around now.
Are we doing a live draft show?
We're going to do a live draft. No, I'm kidding. But we are going to replace our top 10 list next week with our draft picks. So,
will this show actually happen before the draft?
Yeah,
because the draft's on Thursday. Right?
Draft's on Thursday, so this is we'll have our show next Wednesday. So
I just think all
maybe I'll go get another COVID shot.
I was going to say unless you're going to go get another COVID shot.
Top 28 picks are all going to be quarterbacks, right?
I believe that's what it's summing up to be at this point. It's crazy. There's so much going on. You know what? I don't even think. I think that will probably, with our lists that we're going to do, our mock draft lists that we're going to do next week, will come as close as anybody else is coming.
Not mine. Maybe you guys, but not mine.
Really?
I'm just going to go alphabetical.
There you go.
See how it worked out.
There you go. So Trevor Lawrence is not going to Jacksonville.
Well, I might do it reverse alphabetical. And Zach Wilson is going to Carolina.
Zach Wilson's going there too. There you go. But yeah, I mean, there's odds makers right now. They're picking for the Giants are saying there's the best shot right now who the Giants are going to get in the draft is Devontae Smith. And that's what they're saying.
That fourth pick is there's rumors that the Patriots are going to go after it. Now this morning there's a lot of talk the Broncos are going to try to move up to that fourth pick and take Justin Fields.
Yeah,
we shall see.
No matter who's moving up to it, though, it's a quarterback that's going.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus.
Exactly. What do you think about who do you think? All right, obviously Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in this draft. We all know that. But who do you think is legitimately, who do you think is the second best quarterback in this draft? Because there's been so much talk from so many people about making cases for every other quarterback in this draft that's better than the next one. So what's your opinions, honestly?
I like Trey Lance.
I was going to go ahead. You first. Go for it.
God, no, I mean, go for it. I mean,
no, Trey Lance, what? Say what?
He's kind of, if you were to take Justin Fields and Zach Wilson and put them together, you got Trey Lance, and he's big. He's 6'4". He's like 200. They list him as 230. I think he's closer to 235, 240. I just like his upside. I really do.
Do you like him coming out of college as a sophomore?
Yeah, that doesn't bother me these days. Yes, he doesn't. He played at North Dakota State. I get it. I understand all of the question marks that go around him, but I'm not sure Zach Wilson has played any harder competition, maybe less hard competition in his college career.
Right.
And look, I do think Trevor Lawrence is the consensus number one. Trevor Lawrence is a great quarterback. I think Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback. I think Mac Jones is going to be a quarterback. I think you can't really go wrong with any of those three. But the two that don't get as much talk that I would be totally happy with are Trey Lance and Mac Jones. I like both their games.
Yeah.
And I think on the right team, it'd work well. Look, if Atlanta can get a Mac Jones and groom him behind Matty Ice, then I think that's a good pick. I do think that there's some teams right now that really need a quarterback. And obviously the Patriots are one of them. Obviously the Broncos are one of them. And I do think one of those two are going to battle it out to move up to make sure they get somebody that's, in that top 5.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. He came out of Trey Lance is coming out of North Dakota State. Who was the last NFL quarterback to come out of North Dakota State? Don't look.
I don't know.
Carson Wentz.
Carson
Wentz came out of North Dakota State.
So he's going to have one great year, and then.
Well, here's the. That's not it. Here's the thing, though. Trey Lance doesn't have as many wins, and he doesn't have as many wins as Carson Wentz had at North Dakota State, obviously, because he's coming out as a sophomore, and he really didn't play much this past season, obviously with COVID and everything else. But he doesn't have that many more that many less wins, I should say, than Carson Wentz did in a full college career. So it's just interesting. So I was going to say that too. Trey Lance is looking decent, but they all do. There's a statement to be made for Justin Fields, for Zach Wilson, for Trey Lance, for Mac Jones. Thank you. And speaking of Mac Jones is actually Joe Namath's pick for the Jets. Joe Namath actually was quoted as saying that Mac Jones reminds him a lot of Tom Brady.
Yeah, I would.
Doesn't have the size of Brady.
I wouldn't put a lot of stock in Joe Namath's opinion.
I'm not saying there should be stock in. I'm just telling you what he said.
Wrap Mac Jones in a nice mink coat and let him hand the ball off 60 times a game.
I mean,
stranger things have happened.
Joe Namath is great. Being a Jets fan, of course, he's a hero. But
I think it's good
because he played football doesn't mean he knows everything about it.
Right.
Although you know what, I used to really like him as an analyst.
Yeah, no, he's good.
I don't know how much I don't know how much
I think it's going to be Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields in the top 3. And I think I think that fourth one could go to Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think it could too. And Trey Lance isn't going to be far behind.
No.
He's really not.
Or the Bengals 5th? Is that who picks 5th?
Who does? Let me pull up the order. Let's pull up the draft order here.
Because I think that they're going to take Penny. So you know that. But yeah, you got Trey Lance.
Are they taking his? Are they taking his cousin Rigatoni? So
That's right. And then the other quarterback who's probably going to go down further in the first round is Kyle Trask from Florida. Is a pretty good quarterback.
Ugh. Now we're reaching.
I don't think so.
I think we all have a little draft fever, and we really believe that all these guys are going to be successful, which we know they're not all. But
you just have,
Don't you love when you open up a web page and there's 19 videos playing all over it, and you can't read what's underneath it because of the damn pop-up videos?
I will tell you this: there's no quarterback from Duke that's going to go in the top 3 picks.
Well, not unless the Giants trade up.
Here's the draft order.
They could take another Duke quarterback.
Jacksonville's picking first. Jets, obviously, we know is picking second. San Francisco 3rd. Atlanta 4th. Yes, you're right. The Bengals. Cincinnati's picking 5th.
Do they go for a wide receiver? What's his name? Joe Burrow's old.
The guy who didn't play this year, right?
Yeah. Right.
Who was rated higher than anybody else.
Exactly. He didn't play.
At least anybody else who didn't play.
Right.
I'll say this about guys like Wilson and I can't even remember. Guys who play for North Carolina.
North Dakota State.
Not North Dakota State and guys who play for, I think I said this last week or the week before. You can only play against your competition. And, they're you say, well, they're not playing against, SEC teams and the best defenses in the country, but they're also not playing with a bunch of wide receivers that are probably going to the NFL. So
right.
You can only play who's in front of you. I think for whatever reason the Jets seem to be in love with Zach Wilson, and
A lot of people are.
Yeah, I think he and Lawrence and Fields all probably have the biggest upside or potential to be successful in the NFL. I kind of like Fields. Fields, I think, and
he reminds me of Tua.
Yeah,
there's something very Tua-like in
Fields and Trey Lance are the two guys that I think maybe they're just guys that have it.
Right.
You know, they have something that is going to propel them to maybe a greater level of success than you might think just looking at their skill sets, which, you know, are certainly formidable as well.
Sure.
I don't know. There's something about those guys. It's a, you know, kind of a gut feeling, or you sort of take a chance, but
well,
you know, I don't know.
Well, looking at it, obviously Jacksonville's taking Lawrence. The Jets are more than likely taking Zach Wilson. If San Francisco takes Fields and Atlanta takes Mac Jones, Cincinnati's not taking a quarterback. Miami's not taking a quarterback. Detroit's not taking a quarterback. Carolina,
Detroit. If one of those top four,
Jared Goff right now. You know
exactly.
Well, I mean they're paying him money, so it's not like they took him for a year and he's a 34-year-old quarterback.
They're paying Matt Ryan money too. I would not
rule out Detroit taking a quarterback.
If one of those top four are available when Detroit is there, they're taking a quarterback.
Yeah,
what if the top four are there and Trey Lance falls to 7th? Are they taking Trey Lance?
I don't know. It would not surprise me.
Is Carolina taking a quarterback?
They should.
Well, they have Sam Darnold.
Like I said.
But because that would get Trey Lance to 9, and Denver's picking 9. So
Carolina's got a lot of.
I'm not sure Atlanta's going to be picking where they're at. I think that number 4 is a hot. There's a lot of chit chat about somebody trading up for that.
Right. You know,
maybe
trade. You know what? Cincinnati can trade. Miami can trade too. I mean, you know, if quarterbacks are what's going to go in the first, you know, top 5 picks, you know, and Cincinnati
surprises me because Cincinnati could probably trade with a 9, 10, even 11, and Penny Sewell will probably still be there.
Sure.
So, and they could probably get another second-round pick or two more picks. You know,
Cincinnati could trade with Denver, and Denver can move up to 5. Cincinnati drops to 9. Cincinnati still gets Sewell, and Denver gets Trey Lance.
I think that
or Mac Jones or whoever.
I think that 4 is where everybody wants because then they get their pick.
Choice of Mac Jones or it's either going to be Mac Jones, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance, whoever.
Right.
Whoever Frisco doesn't pick.
Right. Yeah, I've heard San Francisco is actually interested in Trey Lance
and Mac Jones.
Yeah.
What about Mac Davis
and Tom Jones?
Fields might be the guy who falls the most out of that group.
He might be. Tua did, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Tua fell.
Yeah, there was an injury history there too.
You know, there's some talk about Fields, you know, just disclosing that he has
night terrors.
No, seizures.
Really?
Yeah.
You read that?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and night sweats.
Night sweats.
Well, listen, after the hit he took in that game,
binge eating.
Surprised me if he had seizures.
I don't know.
I'll tell you what.
I can't wait for it to be over
ghosts?
though, because much like an elections year, there could be so much going on in the sports world, and all you hear is NFL draft stuff. It is unbelievable. You know, Denver Sports Talk Radio, we're on the verge of potentially having an NBA MVP, and all they talk about is all of these fantasy scenarios where the Broncos actually get a quarterback other than Drew Lock.
Mm-hmm. This
is the only town where like the possibility of Teddy Bridgewater gets everybody excited.
Yeah. Well, listen, the media at large, they hate the unknown.
Right.
That's why you have all these drafts every day. I got 6 mock drafts coming out. They can't stand the fact that we really don't know. They hate that. They want the story. They want the scoop. They want some closure. And so they just keep talking about it.
Just as long as they don't let John Elway pick, they'll be fine. The Broncos, because he's horrible at picking quarterbacks.
He has not done a good job as an executive.
He hasn't. But we'll find out.
He got Peyton Manning here, but that was about it.
Yeah.
He didn't pick him in the draft.
No. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you guys probably heard this. Alex Smith retiring.
He did.
Alex Smith. Yep, I got that on the list. Yeah, he called it a career after 16 years.
Is there a better comeback story in the history of the NFL?
Not at all.
Maybe
That
not,
would have been almost. The only thing that would have been better is Theismann coming back. At that point, because he was a little older.
Right.
Not much older though. Barely. That would have been the only one that could have trumped that. Would have been Theismann coming back. But yeah, that was. I mean, he was told 19 months ago that he may never walk again.
Right.
And he came back and helped get the Redskins to the didn't single-handedly do it obviously, but helped get the Redskins to the one playoff game they played in last year. But I mean,
but listen, there are a lot of people saying he has a winning record with the Redskins. He was getting the job done with them, and why are they better off without him? I mean, they obviously,
sure,
he's not going to play anywhere else, and
but,
he's not going to play for them. So
look, I mean, he was the product of the next newest flavor, right? I mean, he was having a decent career in Kansas City until Patrick Mahomes came along, right? He was having a great career in San Francisco until
Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick came along. Yeah. So
usurped.
Yeah.
But you know what? The knock on him was that he was an excellent game manager, right? He got the job done, but he wasn't spectacular enough to put the team on his shoulders.
Patrick Mahomes talks about him, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a perfect guy to groom a young quarterback under, or even just be around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Alex Smith is. I mean, I don't know. Some people would talk about, Michael Vick, even though I don't want to mention that as a comeback. But
that's a different kind of comeback.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I mean, Alex Smith was playing like with half of his calf muscle on that leg last year.
Yeah. Well, you would think some team would pick him up as some sort of a consultant or something.
I don't think he wanted to do it.
He wants to do that, though.
He's going to be. He wants to be with his family. He doesn't want to be traveling around to yet another. He's going to be in the booth. You'll see him in the booth.
Yeah.
I mean, if we could finally get rid of Booger McFarland, please.
I would, in an instant, take Alex Smith over.
Whatever you got against Booger.
He's horrible. Remember they had him outside even
when he was on the booth, going back and forth, going up and down the sideline, back and forth. Oh,
the only thing worse was
get me started on Booger
Magic Johnson announcing basketball games.
They're going to say Magic Johnson announcing football games.
I don't think he knew what the difference was at the time, but yeah.
In any event. So, who's your pick? We all know, obviously, we know the Jets are taking a quarterback, and for all intents and purposes, it's Zach Wilson. Both of you, we'll do our lists next week, obviously. But who would you say, just flat out, who would you say the Giants are taking, and with the first pick?
Well, they have 11.
They're 11, yeah.
I mean, I would love to. I don't think he's going to fall that low. Kyle Pitt is who I would
Pitts
love.
Is there. Yeah, if Pitts is there, I'd say they take him. But
he's moving up. He's moving up. He might go.
Moving on up.
If Atlanta stays at 4, he might go at 4.
Might go as high as 4.
I'd love to see Jamar Chase fall, but I don't think he's going to.
Right.
I think the Giants are going to. I mean, do you really think Devonta Smith? If Devonta Smith is available, I think you got to take him.
Everybody says that you got to take him. And his size doesn't bother me all that much. I mean, he's obviously a smaller.
It's either that or Micah Parsons.
I was going to say, I honestly, I think their need right now. They have. Sure, Devontae Smith would be an awesome weapon for Daniel Jones.
How about Patrick Surtain?
Sure, but I think Micah Parsons. You got to look at that. You need somebody like that on the defense.
Micah Parsons could become the next great defensive player in the NFL.
Yeah. I believe that, and I do, and I think if Micah Parsons is sitting there at 11, even if Devontae Smith is sitting there at 11, you got to take Micah Parsons. You have to. They need that. They need that on the defense.
I hear you.
To be a monster defense. They need to go back to what they did and did it right. The years that they won, they had a solid offensive line, they had a decent scoring offense, but they had a killer defense in all 4 of those Super Bowl years. So that's what they need to do.
How about Jalen Waddle? If Waddle's available, do you take him? I like Waddle.
I like Waddle too. I like Waddle.
The only wide receiver that I'm really blown away by is Jamar Chase. I think, but here's a question for you, Giant fan.
Go for it.
If the Bengals take Jamar Chase,
right,
and either Rashawn Slater or Penny Sewell are available for the Giants, do they take an offensive tackle over either Micah Parsons or Patrick Surtain? Or if Penny Sewell or Rashawn Slater are available, should the Giants take an offensive
I think
tackle?
if Rashawn Slater is available or Penny Sewell, it's tough. It's tough. Probably. If Rashawn Slater or Penny Sewell are available, and I don't think they're going to be, but if they are, yeah, you probably do take them over Mike.
The other guy is Kwity Paye, who seems to be dropping in everybody's mock drafts, but I saw him up as high as 6 or 7.
They haven't. I mean, the first round offensive lineman picks for the Giants have over the last 10 years, and they've picked a couple, haven't been. No. A jury's out on Andrew Thomas. We'll see what happens. He got better towards the end of the year, and hopefully he takes another step up this year. But I mean,
it's tough.
You go back to Flowers. Oh my God. And
I
still say too, last year's draft, why they didn't take Tristan Wirfs is beyond me. I don't understand why they did not draft Tristan Wirfs, but whatever. At least Tristan Wirfs won a Super Bowl then, so you look at it that way for him. But I think Micah Parsons is the pick. I do. I really do. I think Micah Parsons is the pick. But who knows what they're going to do?
I think I don't care till next week.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up. No, I don't know.
Well, there you go. That'll next week we will do our mock drafts for you in place of a top 10 list, and we'll come up with something creative for Old Balls for you. There you go.
Maybe we could just put a graphic up of our mock draft and not go through every one.
So maybe we'll do a top 10 list and just put a graphic up and say it.
Well, it would have. Are we only doing the top 10, or are we doing the whole draft first round?
Oh no, I would say no.
Jesus, no, God.
The whole draft? No, the whole first round. Yeah, we'll do.
That's what I meant.
Maybe we'll do that. Maybe what we'll do is we'll put up a graphic of our mock drafts and just take a look at them, talk about them during football, and we'll still do a top 10 next week. We'll talk about it.
We don't need a top 10.
We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out.
This is us discussing how this should work. By the way, the Yankees won.
Yay!
You would say the 3-run lead going to the ninth. You would imagine they would have been able to.
You do know who their closer is, right?
This is true. This is very, very true. Okay. So, all right.
Although it is April. He's good in April.
Let's do a little NBA really quick. There's only 12 games left, ish. Hey, Knicks are in 4th place.
Yeah, 8 in a row.
8-game winning streak, longest winning streak currently in the NBA. Of course, the Wizards have won 6 too, but they're.
Well, what's distinguishing the Knicks right now is that they're beating those teams that are roughly in that same grouping as
with them. Yeah, sure.
And those are the games that they were not winning earlier in the year. And yes, Julius Randle is kind of unconscious. The other guy who's been very good during the stretch is R.J. Barrett. And he seems to have a little bit more of a swagger, a little bit more confidence, a little bit more aggressive.
R.J. Barrett definitely does. Does. And Quickly's having fun too out there.
Yeah, I like Quickly. He's just
having fun out there.
Yeah.
But let me ask you: is Randall playing himself into a max contract?
Well, that's the problem. Is one good year, and then do you play him into him? I think you have to. Look, if you're the Knicks and you have a player of that caliber, he's willing to stay there. He's obviously, in a good position. He seems to like playing for both Thibodeau and at the Garden.
Right.
I think you have to re-sign him. He's young enough. Look, who else is knocking on the door, ready to come there?
Yeah. Well, now Zion's going to be.
I was going to say Zion seems to be knocking on the door.
You have to wait a couple of years, though.
Well, he said he liked playing at the Garden.
He said he loves outside of New Orleans.
He said this is my favorite place to play.
Yeah. You know
outside of New Orleans.
Outside of New Orleans.
You know who loved to play at the Garden?
Pause. Outside of New Orleans.
You know who really loved to play at the Garden? Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
He loved playing at the Garden.
Yeah, he loved playing at the Garden because he got 55 points every time he came.
I'm saying Zion.
Yeah.
Zion might have been in the same.
I know this sounds weird. I don't think Zion Williamson is a guy you're going to build a championship team around.
I don't either.
I agree.
I think they should go out and they should lure.
I mean, I'd rather if Devin Booker or what's his name from Utah is available, then if Damian Lillard's available, I would get me way more excited.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: wasn't before COVID, didn't the Knicks have enough room for 2 max contracts?
2.
Yeah,
2 max contracts. Yeah.
So I assume with this current lineup, they still have room for 2 max contracts.
Right.
So I don't see any reason why you would give Randall one of those.
Give Randall one of them and lure somebody else in. Yeah.
And then you get somebody else in here.
Yep.
And there's going to be free agents. So
of course, there's definitely going to be.
Kawhi.
The Knicks kind of
Kawhi is a free agent.
The Knicks kind of remind me of.
Imagine the Knicks get Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, that would be so amazing.
The Knicks kind of remind me of Miami from last year in the sense that they're a team and everyone knows what their role is.
So they're going to suck next year.
They play those roles. Yeah. So they're going to get to the finals this year. But they play their parts and they play together and they play as a team.
It's not a role anymore. It's more of a bagel.
It just goes to show you they play the croissant.
It
just goes to show you what you can what you can accomplish with a little bit of teamwork. And I think Randall is, if you're not convinced he's a legit star at this point, then you don't like NBA basketball.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like his range is changing as the season goes on. I feel like his 3-point shooting is doubled in efficiency as the season's gone on. It's crazy.
That overtime yesterday with they were that was crazy. I mean they couldn't miss. It was
look, the Bucks beat Sixers tonight. They seem to be getting healthy. With what's going on with the Nets, who knows who's going to even be on the court for them?
Right.
The Knicks still only have a half-game advantage over Atlanta and Boston.
Yeah.
And Miami's, as bad as they've been playing, Miami's right there. And Boston's a hot team. Boston's 8-2, just like the Knicks in their last 10. Mm-hmm. They're playing pretty good basketball, and everybody's going to be fighting to get in that top 6 so they don't have to beat the Wizards and Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal in a one-game playoff to get in. It's tough.
It is. Do you hear what LeBron said today?
No.
Yesterday or today? He said the NBA is a better place when the Knicks are winning.
God, why couldn't you have said that 5 years ago when your hair was still there and you could sign a max contract with the Knicks?
Yeah.
Was that 2010 when he was getting
let me
courted and then unfortunately had a conversation with Dolan, and that was it. We had it.
Let me revisit this topic just for a second here.
Go for it.
Given what we've said about Randall and this Knicks team, Harry, what you just said about Zion not building a team around him, I think we all agree with that. But does that mean that he's not a good fit for the Knicks? Given that he doesn't necessarily have to be the only guy that you build a team around.
I've watched a lot of games. It seems like he's on television a lot this year.
Well, sure.
And he's kind of when he's on the court, there's 2 types of Zions. There's the Zion that kind of disappears for moments, and then there's the Zion who has the ball in his hand too often and for too long for 7 trips down the court in a row.
Right.
But that's on a Pelicans team. What else do they have?
If I had a choice between Zion Williams and Ja Morant, I would take Ja Morant. That's who is going to fit in on this Knicks team and be able to not only balance well with Barrett and with Julius Randle. I think the Knicks have enough, especially when what's his name gets healthy. I think they have 2 kind of prototypical centers. I just don't see Zion I don't see his shooting being enough of an improvement on that end for the Knicks. I think you have to have lights out, spot up, and create your own shot, 3-point shooting in today's game to win a championship. And
but the Knicks have some of that. I guess my point is
they don't have you mark my words, a player like Julius Randle, his efficiency from the 3-point line in a playoffs because of his size is going to go down. And that's where they need somebody else who can really be a true 2 that can light it up. And I don't think the Knicks have that right now.
Yeah, I would lean towards that.
Now, would I be upset if the Knicks signed Zion? No.
I'm just saying that inside presence can open up.
Well, I would rather see
outside.
See, Randall can be that inside presence.
Yeah, they need a perimeter guy.
If they get a perimeter guy, I think Randall's ability to score more down low improves dramatically.
Right.
And he's an interesting guy. He's he's
having an all-star year not being down low so much.
Well, there's only one player. There's 2 players in the NBA playing down low right now, and they're battling it out for the MVP award. And they're also able to go outside and shoot the 3 as well. Right. This is not a league for post-up players anymore. And as good as Zion is, with the way he's built, 3 years from now, he's not going to be the same guy.
Yeah, you have to right. Can he adapt? Because you're right, he's going to break down.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see it. The guy I'd like to see on the Knicks. There's 3 of them. I would love to see Damian Lillard come to the Knicks. I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. I think another guy, I like John Morant. The other guy that I could picture on the Knicks, again, long shot, and I could picture him fitting in with the team as it is right now, is Luka Doncic.
Okay.
That's a guy that is an overall great top 10 player in the NBA right now. Now, if you tell me Kawhi is interested, which he won't be, he doesn't want to play in New York.
No.
Kawhi quietly, Paul George is having a pretty good run here. Clippers are 42-19 and 9-1 in their last 10. They're only 3 games behind the Jazz for the top spot, right, and 1 game behind the Suns. I don't think I want to play the Clippers in the first round of the playoffs after them getting bounced last year. I really don't. So we'll see. The one thing that this run by the Knicks is doing is it's getting them on national television. And it's maybe saying to some of these free agents coming up, hey, maybe I do want to go play for the Knicks.
Right. And that's a good thing. That's a very good thing.
Yeah.
And what about that run? I mean, the Nuggets have won 4 in a row, and with losing whatchamacallit,
Jamal Murray. Look, the Nuggets have. The other night, the Nuggets were down by 14, I think, in the 4th quarter, and they came back to win in double overtime. Yep. And the Joker had just one of those games that was just like, okay, this is incredible. Now, for the Nuggets to win, their role players, their equivalent to R.J. Barrett, who's Will Barton, needs to play like he did. Aaron Gordon, his numbers are down, but his impact, they got guys like Campazzo, who's again, is not a numbers guy, but if you watch the game, you realize what they're doing out on the court. I think the Nuggets I think they should have gone out, and I know they signed Austin Rivers to a 10-game contract. I think they should have brought back Isaiah Thomas. That's the guy who I think could help this team right now. And I'm hoping Austin Rivers can put in some good times. They're very slim. They were slim before Murray went down in the backcourt. Now him and Monte Morris are hurt. They continue to win games though, and we'll see.
Does Murray going down make Joker more of an MVP candidate?
I think so. And look, I like Jamal Murray, but if and he might not be back until the playoffs next year.
Yeah. Right.
The Nuggets might have to go out, and they might be looking at some of those same players the Knicks might be looking at in free agents. If the Nuggets could get a legitimate top 15 player to be their number 2, somebody who's, Murray puts up some gaudy numbers sometimes. I get it. But he's also a guy who turns the ball over a lot and is not the best defensive player on the court. So if the Nuggets could get somebody who fits into their system and who is a better pure shooter than Murray, I think you go out and get him, because I think that their window for when they can win a championship is closing. And I think they'll do better this year than people are going to give them credit for. But Utah, Phoenix, the Clippers, and if the Lakers can get remotely healthy, are going to be teams that are going to be really hard to beat. And oh, by the way, I don't think I want to play the Portland Trailblazers or the Dallas Mavericks.
No, who wants to play anyone out west?
Yeah, and the Memphis Grizzlies are a good team. I'm telling you, that John Morant is going to be he's going to be the next best thing in this league.
By the way, AD is back tonight with LA.
Yep.
1 for 6 from the field so far. So let me throw this at you a little bit. Word, I think Steve Nash said back to square one with James Harden's hamstring injury. And we know hamstring injuries are a pain in the ass and they don't really heal. They almost, it can take forever to go away or get fixed. Can Harden win the MVP if he doesn't come back to the playoffs?
No. And I don't think he should, especially because I think it's a clear 1 and 2 right now. And I'll tell you what, I think Steph Curry's making a case for himself to be ahead of Harden. But yeah, I think Harden. I think because of the injuries this year, and because the NBA, the people who vote for the MVP like to mix it up a little bit more. Because let's be honest, I mean, Michael Jordan could have won MVP every year he played. LeBron, I could argue LeBron before he got hurt deserves to be MVP. I think they're trying to mix it up. I think there's a favoritism towards Embiid. I think that Jokic goes under the radar, but I think his play alone in the recent poll of 100 journalists, he was clearly ahead. And I think if you really look at it, I'm not being a homer here, because I didn't think he had a chance in hell in the midway through the season. If you look at the amount of games that he's played and what he means to his team, I really do think that he's the clear winner. I mean, he is. You could talk about Steph Curry. You could talk about Joel Embiid.
Another guy who doesn't.
I don't think there's been a player like Jokic ever. Luka Doncic comes close, but he's not a center.
Right.
Yeah. And another guy who doesn't.
He's Sabonis, but young.
Another guy who is very much under the radar is Chris Paul.
Chris Paul, although Devin Booker would but Chris Paul has done the Suns. I said this last year. The Suns are a great team.
He has to get.
I think he gets comeback player of the year this year.
Yeah,
not that he really disappeared in the last couple of years, but I think he's certainly. His numbers might not be significantly better, but the eyeball test is that he's making a bigger difference, right, especially in crunch time, than he has in years past. And that's because he's got a great shooter. Again, a guy who can create for himself.
But he's also he's been on and I mean that team is what do they always say about that team on PTI, 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Yeah,
that was right. Mike Wilbon always went, oh, they're 2 years away, and Tony Kornheiser would go, they're 2 years away from being 2 years away.
Right.
Throw Chris Paul on that team, and now they're right there.
And we'll see. Utah folded a little bit. Look, I think the West is a toss-up. I do think, though, I think the Clippers have something to prove, and I think they're slowly starting to play some really good basketball. And when it comes time for playoff basketball, I don't like to. I think Kawhi Leonard slowly and quietly is peaking here.
Well,
and Paul George is playing some great basketball.
Paul George, he hasn't lived up to the playoff P moniker.
No,
but listen, you got Patrick Beverly, and don't forget playoff Rondo.
Right,
is a fucking monster every time he gets into the postseason. Yeah. Rondo just flip, and I hope we'll see if he can again this year, but flips the switch and turns into an animal. So that is a very, very dangerous team.
I know the West is going to be interesting. That play-in round is going to be crazy. It's going to be wild.
Yeah.
I mean, have you guys been watching you mentioned Steph Curry.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I watched him against the Nuggets, and I watched him in the next game.
Let me just throw this at you. Since Saturday, the 10th of this month, he's put up 38, 53, 42, 33, 47, 49, and then 18 last night.
Well, Charles Barkley said it best. You got to put some wood on him.
Yeah.
I mean, even watching Julius Randle play, lately there's very little defense. It seems like it's just
it's non-existent anymore.
It's just
anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, guys who are good players, but who 3 years ago would have averaged 18 points a game are averaging 24, 25, 26.
Right.
So, as far as the playoffs go, I still think Utah is a slightly better team than Phoenix due to their defense. And I think they can match up against the Lakers a little better. But man, if somebody can knock off the Lakers, the Clippers are I think the team to beat, because I think other than the Lakers, and I don't think the Lakers have the players this year that they did last year on the defensive end, like the Rondo and like Dwight Howard and some of these other guys. I think the Lakers are a little thin this year.
Yeah, they made moves, and a lot of the pundits said, "Oh, they're better than they were last year," and I'm not really sure that's true. But here's the thing: if LeBron comes back and he's healthy, and AD stays healthy, how much is LeBron James going to benefit from this rest? And I listen. How long will it take him to shake off the rust?
Not very long.
A quarter, maybe.
Yeah, I don't want to bet against them, but I think they're more vulnerable this year than they were last year. Last year, to me, it was a no-brainer that they were going to win it. Right. I think they're a little bit more vulnerable this year, only because, look, with the exception of Denver, every other team that was in the playoffs last year is better this year, including Utah and now Phoenix, who wasn't even there last year. So and Dallas maybe not as good record-wise as they were last year, but I don't want to face Luka Doncic in a first-round playoff series or play-in game. I don't want to do that.
Well, listen,
watch out for Portland. CJ McCollum's finally back and playing really. Portland is the sleeper in the West. Trust me, they're a sleeper in the West.
They and Dallas are dangerous teams.
Yeah, they are.
They're your first-round upset teams.
Yep.
So, and I'll say Dallas is right now. Dallas is going to have to play in to get there, but
yeah. and I'll say this: I don't think the Nets are going to win this year.
Yeah, you keep saying that. I think there's just too many question marks with their health.
Yeah. I would have said they need some time to play together, but that doesn't seem like it's an issue, because when those games that they were together on the court, the big three, they were great in all of them, no matter how it really didn't matter the passage of time. But Durant can't seem to stay healthy. Harden is now hurt, and Kyrie, might take a day off for somebody's birthday at any point. Although if the other two are out, I don't think so.
Out of those three, Durant has consistently had really good postseason play. I still think Kevin Durant is the best player in basketball. Obviously, he has to be on the court for that to take shape.
Happen, right?
Yeah.
I still think there's a question mark mentally with both Harden and Kyrie as to whether, and I'll tell you this, I think Kyrie has turned a corner. And I know he takes time off and disappears and all that, but he's playing the best basketball of his career.
Yeah. Well, because he's not the second fiddle to LeBron, and he's not the man.
But even when he has been the first fiddle these last few weeks, he's playing lights out basketball.
Yeah. But
he's playing lights out basketball.
He is. And I think I said this before, though. I don't know how long he can keep that up. I don't know if he can keep that up to the bulk of the playoffs.
We'll see. We'll see.
And Harden doesn't exactly have a great track history of quality playoff basketball either. So,
and the team in the East that I'm going to say it right now, and it's not just because they beat the Suns and held the Suns to 86 points tonight. The Celtics are finally playing good basketball, and I do not want to play that team. When they are on, they're 86 points. They held the Suns to 86 points.
Yeah. If everybody comes back in Brooklyn and they're healthy, they're the team to beat. I just don't see that happening. And I'm not sure which combination of maybe 2 out of the 3, or for some of those games, 1 out of the 3. But I just don't think they're going to have enough.
I still think they're the favorites, and I still think there's cracks in Philly's game. I'm not convinced that in a 7-game series, the Sixers can beat Milwaukee or can easily even beat Boston, or obviously the Nets. So we'll see. We'll see.
Well, right now, if the season ended today, the Knicks are playing Atlanta.
Which is a tough. Which they're evenly matched.
And it's just a home.
Yep.
Knicks have the home court. Excuse me. But unless they play on the field, but it is a tough matchup. But hey, anything can happen. I mean, the way they're playing right now, they can if they keep playing that. And we've been saying it, and everybody's been saying it. Okay, it's when did it go from this is a nice story to, oh my God, these guys are for real kind of thing.
I still don't. I still think. Yes, I still think they're going to wind up. They might wind up a couple games above 500, which is fantastic.
Right.
But
they got 12 games left.
They're playing.
They got 12 games left.
They're playing their best basketball of the year at the right time.
Yeah. So exactly. So the play-in series start on May 18th, and then the playoffs actually start on May 22nd. So we will see. We'll see how that all pans out, so to speak. Lot to be interested in. Lot of interesting things to be looking at, though. We will keep an eye on them next week. I'm sure there'll be a lot more shaken out, and who knows? Maybe everybody on the Nets will be back and healthy, and maybe the Knicks will have a 12-game winning streak at that point. And
that's more likely. I think that's more likely.
The funny thing is, I agree with you. It actually is more likely.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Although I think, look, Durant and anybody is a better combination than the 2 others without Durant.
Well, it's true.
Although Kyrie and James Harden, when Durant's been out for a couple of months now.
Other than Durant alone could carry that Nets team to the finals. I think that because look, even with Golden State, it was once Durant went down, after Klay Thompson went down, it was over. Steph Curry is a great player, but he can't carry a team by himself.
No.
I feel a little bit the same way about Harden and Kyrie alone. I think the 2 of them together, it's a no-brainer. They can definitely take it. But if I had to pick one of those guys that I want and need healthy, it's Durant. And we'll see. We'll see where it comes.
Right. That's my point. Durant and Kyrie or Durant and Harden is a much better proposition than Kyrie and Harden.
Right.
I mean, it seems obvious, but although they did play very well in this extended period that Durant was out, but again, Harden with a hamstring injury, that.
And what is Durant's injury? We don't even know. A knee now, right? It's a knee. I don't know.
It was a contusion. He got a contusion
in his thigh or something.
Took a knee to the thigh, and he got a bruise.
He took a knee to the thigh.
Yeah.
I just have a picture of Patrick Ewing sitting on the bench in between, at the end of the game, with his feet in buckets and ice wrapped around each knee. Yep. And looking to his right and seeing John Starks, and looking to his left and seeing Hubert Davis, and going, load management. It's just I'm not going to play because I got a thigh contusion. Yeah. Is it a thigh contusion, or does Durant still have lingering problems with his ACL? You just don't know.
That's the question.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason why they're resting him, and I don't think it's a thigh contusion. I really don't.
Yeah, maybe they're just figuring. Obviously, it's going to be a little bit of a push for them to get to the first seed, and unless they're going to get the first seed, they're obviously going to have to go through Philly.
Right.
And at that point, they would rather a healthy. Even if he's playing now, they may still have to go through Philly.
Right now, they're tied for first.
So. Yeah, I don't know if they're that concerned with first.
I don't think anybody is.
Well, that's my point. So why not rest him now?
Right. Yeah. They're saying yes. Let's. We'd rather have him healthy, and be in second than maybe be in first. But he's overextended.
And maybe be in first, but most likely still be in second anyway, and he's overworked. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
But I to Harry's point though, I totally agree. I mean, this is load management. Did that term even exist 30 years ago?
No. It didn't even exist 15
years ago. Yeah. Exactly. So, but what are you going to do? Well,
it's tough when you're making millions.
It's really that's hard.
Take a break.
You need to relax, go on a party, and go have some drinks. And
I mean, listen, the guys at I forget who it was. Might have been Dr. J or somebody was telling a story about they would get in the whirlpool. Only it was filled with ice.
Right
after games. They would just ice their entire body.
Yeah, Patrick Ewing did that between quarters.
Yeah.
Because he
on
the bench, literally with ice packs wrapped around his knees.
Yeah.
Kareem, I remember this. It's just Larry Bird used to have to lay down on the sideline when he was out of the game.
That's right. Yeah.
And then he had to have people help him get up to get back in the game. It's just. I know I sound like an old guy, but Charles Barkley's right. These guys are freaking soft.
They are.
Speaking of soft, I don't know. Do we have any more NBA news?
I think we're good. So
how about that European Soccer League?
Soccer League.
The Super League.
It was, and then it wasn't.
It was, but it wasn't.
It was a league for Jimmy Fallon last night said, I've seen guacamole last longer.
Yeah. So. It was interesting. It was an educational experience for me, and I imagine I'm probably the biggest soccer fan amongst the three of us, although I'm not a huge soccer fan. But one of the things I learned is that some of these clubs, particularly in the Premier League, there are groups of fans that are charter members. I don't know what the exact term is, but they get to vote on certain decisions. And part of this backlash was that they were not consulted about. I think it was maybe Manchester Man United or whoever it was. A couple of teams that joined up for this thing, and their booster fans or whatever said, "Hey, we should have a say in this."
Right.
And owners were down on their knees apologizing, and once the Premier League teams went out, everybody was going out. But I will say this: I would have liked. I think it's a good idea, and it may come back at a later date.
Right. Only if the fans are consulted first, though.
If the fans are consulted first. And...
Well, we joke about that, but aren't we really consulting the fans with all of these decisions in baseball and basketball and everything else with all these rules?
Well, no, changes? I mean these people they are given a vote.
I know
decisions, and that counts. And in this case, they were not consulted, and that got a lot of them mad. But I was looking forward to it because I think they were going to have an actual regular playoff league. And once again, I am being frustrated and tortured by the Champions League, the stupidity of their playoff system, their scoring system with aggregate.
That's what you get for following a communist sport.
Yeah, I guess so. I was trying to think of what an analogous situation to one of our U.S. sports, and
there are none.
They would be so ridiculous. No, there are none that exist, but. No. If we had a playoff system of advancement that was comparable to that, it would be so ridiculous that nobody would go to the games. We would all boycott. Even the NFL would be like, forget this crap.
That would be a beautiful thing too, especially not so much now, obviously Knicks wise, but when we were talking early on in the season and obviously years before. About the fans boycotting and everything else. That would have been interesting, but hey, you know what? We'll see what happens with that. I think you're right, though. I think at some point it's going to probably pop back around again. It might not be right away, but
they'll learn from their mistakes.
It's an interesting idea, though. So we'll see what happens with that.
Who knows?
And I'm not the only person with upset with the way UEFA sends teams through to the next round.
Exactly, and not to leave hockey out, but Vegas actually has the most points right now. They've jumped over the Avalanche.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of knew that, didn't you?
Yeah. Colorado's right there, though. I mean, they're only 2 points behind Vegas. But
I think Toronto's still in first in the Canadian division, though, right?
Toronto's still in first. Yeah, they got by 4 points. They're up above Winnipeg. But hey, the Islanders they're playing good hockey. They've only won 2 right now, but they're tied for first place. Well, they're technically in second place, but behind Washington based on head to head, I believe. But in any event, they're tied with Washington. So we'll see what happens with that in the East. And Central Carolina still has Florida's tied with them too. I just realized that because Florida just won 3, and brought them back up to tied with Carolina. So hey, it's interesting. It's coming down to the wire. I mean, there's 60, 52. There's a few games left. The playoffs for hockey are going to be after basketball starts. So you're looking at probably the end of June before you get to the Cup, maybe even July. So it's going to be interesting as it comes down to the wire here. But that's pretty much hockey. You got anything on hockey?
No.
Pete, you're muted, Pete. You're muted, Pete. You're muted, Pete.
I had the other screen up, so yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who's going to play who. Like, I want to see the playoff grid.
There is none yet because they have more games left.
Yeah. I mean, I know not as far as the teams, but who's going to play who?
Oh, between the divisions. Well, obviously it's going to be what it was. It's going to be the top 4 in each.
Right, but like I don't know which division is. Which division is.
Oh, is the West going to play the Central and?
Well, no.
East
Wait a minute. Intra means in between, right?
Intra means in between.
Inter means within.
Within, right.
Well, interstate is within the state. Intrastate is between states.
Correct.
So this is going to be intra-divisional play.
Intra-divisional play.
So who's number 1? Which division's number 1 is playing, number 4? Who's,
Is that the way it's going to work, though?
Well, this says the first 2 rounds will feature intra-divisional play. Number 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. The 4 teams that advance to the semifinal round would be seeded by their regular season point totals, with the number 1 seed playing number 4, et cetera, et cetera. So we have 4 divisions.
They're going to play between 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 divisions, but then it's 4 teams out of each division that are going to play. So they're jumping right into the beginning of the playoffs to interdivision play.
Right. So in other words, let's say it ended today, right? So Vegas is number 1.
Right.
Would they play Nashville, who's number 4 in the Central? Would they play Boston, who's number 4 in the East, or would they play Montreal, who's number 4 in the Canadian?
I see what you're saying. I think it's just a division. Like, I guess if I had to guess, they're going to add up the points for the top 4, or even the whole division or whatever, and see what the seeding would be at that point. What's the top division? Although all the points at that point should really be the same. So maybe it's just the top 4 teams.
I don't know.
I really don't know what to say. I haven't.
It's
really
convoluted, but still not as bad as the Champions League.
I just thought that they were going to play. That they were going to get a winner of each division and then have 1 play 4.
How about the Devils not making
Yeah.
it?
No.
So I think what it's going to be is it's going to be 1 play. So I think right now would be the Hurricanes versus the Blue Jackets, and the Panthers versus the Red Wings, and the Lightning versus the Blackhawks, and the Predators versus the Stars.
Oh no! Wait, we had that backwards, Joan.
We did.
Intra-divisional means within the division.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So never mind. So yes. So within the division, first 2 rounds, 1 will play 4 and 2 will play 3.
Yeah.
The winners of those 2 games or series will win. So you'll have 1 division winner.
So the playoffs are going to go on as long as the regular season.
Okay.
Because there's so many playoff teams in it.
Yeah, I had
that.
16.
Yeah.
It's going to be 16, yeah.
16,
I had that backwards. I thought intro was between, but intro was within. So 1 plays 4 and 2 plays 3.
So the Hurricanes play the Predators, the Panthers play the Lightning. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
And then after that, semifinal round would be seeded by their regular season points total.
Gotcha.
So then division doesn't matter, whoever had the most.
So then, hypothetically speaking, if Vegas, Carolina, Washington, and Toronto all win, Vegas would play Toronto, and Carolina would play Washington.
Yeah.
And on from
And then tie breaks there's 7 tiebreakers. Fewer number of games played, the greater number of games won, excluding games in overtime or by shootout.
The height of the Zamboni driver?
That is the RW column. The greater number of games won, excluding games won by shootout. That's the ROW column.
Gotcha.
The greater number of games won by the club in any manner. Total wins. That's the W column. The greater number of games earned in points game. Well, wait a minute. The greater number of points earned in games against each other among 2 or more tied clubs for the purpose of determining standing of 2 or more clubs that have not played an even number of games with 1 or more of the other tied clubs. The first game played in that city that has the extra game, the odd game, shall not be included when more than 2 clubs are tied. The percentage of available points earned in games among each other and not including any odd games shall be used to determine standing. That's tiebreaker number 5.
Okay.
I'm not even going to read 6.
Don't read the others, but where? Seven is the height of the Zamboni driver, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, actually, the Zamboni drivers put on skates and come out and fight.
And they fight, right? Exactly.
Actually, they're driving their Zambonis while they fight.
It's a joust. It's a Zamboni joust.
That's right. It's like medieval
times.
Times. Only on a Zamboni.
Let me throw this at you in the category of they're not rich enough already. The PGA is now going to set up a $40 million slush fund, which they're going to give out to players going to be distributed based on their being good for the game of golf, i.e. popular.
Really? Hey look, yeah. We don't mention golf very often, but
no, we've never mentioned golf.
Hideki Matsura, or whatever his name is.
Hideki Matsui?
Not Hideki Matsui.
Matsuzaka.
Matsuzaka, yeah.
I mean, that was a huge win. And I'll tell you what, what's his name was also, 24 years old? Came within one shot of coming back. Yeah. I don't watch golf very often, but I found this year's Masters, especially with the weather and, all the slick greens and whatever else, I thought it was pretty incredible. And I bet that guy's going to light the torch at the Olympics in Japan. I really do. I mean, I think it's that big of a deal. First Japanese player to ever win a major golf tournament. I mean,
and it was a great win because he was kind of falling apart.
Well, I wouldn't say he was falling apart, but he
was giving up strokes.
He was.
He made a great save on 15, but he was giving up strokes. And there have been plenty of guys who have watched 3- and 4-stroke leads slip away to either lose
easy
to watch or to end up going to playoffs and stuff. But he hung on and got it done in the last couple holes there. So to me, that was a very impressive win.
It was. So.
Yeah, and
some new blood. He'll probably get some of that $40 million.
$40 million slush fund.
Yeah, Zalatoris, Will Zalatoris. I mean, God. I mean, he's got the potential to be the next big young star in golf. I really do. I think that.
Yeah, he could be the next Sergio Garcia or.
No, Sergio Garcia was pretty big for a long time, though.
He was.
Yeah, but not for really winning anything.
Exactly.
No, he won a couple majors, Sergio.
He won a couple, but he never really fulfilled his potential. But, a lot of that is the hype of the media.
A lot of these guys never fulfill their. I mean, you said that about
a lot of guys that came
time.
around too. Like there was a lot of talent,
right?
During that time too, and newer guys coming up. What's the other kid that came up? After Sergio Garcia, say his name, and I was, damn it.
Rory McIlroy?
No.
Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
And Rory McIlroy and all of them. They were all. It's like they were like one right after the other. So
Brooks Koepka was a a little bit after that, but he was another guy who
Ricky Fowler is part of that group.
I mean, they said the same thing about Phil Mickelson for years.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's kind of after Tiger dropped off, he became the so-called number one golfer. But
Phil's one of the greatest to ever play the game.
He's won 44 events, but he never won a Masters for a long time. He has 5 major championships, which is a lot. But for a time there, that was his big criticism for a long time.
Yeah. Well, he couldn't. Was it the Open he couldn't win, or the Masters he
Masters.
could never win?
Masters.
The Masters.
He can win the Masters.
Yeah, he
And
finally
look,
won the Masters.
5 is a nice number, but it's nowhere close to 18.
Oh.
So
It's not.
there's quite a gap there. But still, he's one of the best to ever play the game.
He is.
Yeah.
He is. So
Yeah, there's very few people that can win that. I mean, there's Jack Nicklaus and Tiger, and then, it
Something
gets
of a precipitous drop off. Yeah.
Walter Hagen. I mean, he's got 11, but I mean, yeah, it's tough.
it drops down. Yeah. Well, this is a lot. Again, there's a lot of really good golfers out there, and all of those in that time. After Tiger, post Tiger, Sergio, Rory, Jordan, all of them.
Yeah, Rory's got 4. I mean, there's Brooks Koepka's got 4. I don't know. I haven't really followed golf in a long time. I thought this year was pretty exciting, especially that Sunday. That last round was fun.
I'm actually hoping to get out for the first time this year on Saturday morning. So.
I'm gonna make sure you really aim it well at the windmill. It's this time of year, the wind's not blowing that hard.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, the Oscars are on Sunday.
Oscars are on Sunday. Yeah. So
I'll be watching that.
I wish they would do it on.
I wish they would do it on Saturday because I can't stay up that late.
You can't stay up till because the Oscars. They're scheduled to end at 11, and they always end at 11:45. So
they have this thing called the DVR or YouTube.
Yeah.
You're gonna put on your Oscar gown and try to stay awake?
Probably.
You're not having an Academy Awards party?
No, I don't think so. Did you guys watch the Grammys, by the way?
No.
I haven't watched the Grammys in years.
I haven't watched the Grammys since I think Michael Jackson had Thriller.
It was. I don't know. It was strange.
It's horrible.
It was just I don't know.
I got to take that back. I actually did thumb through. When I say thumb, remote thumb through the Grammys. I put them on and then got nauseated within a minute and a half and turned it off. And then 20 minutes later, put it on again. And I don't get it. I don't get it.
And will you watch any of these Oscar movies?
I'm not saying I'm old. I'm saying,
no, it just sucks.
It sucks.
It's
really bad.
It always sucked.
Yeah.
What is it with the Oscars, and why does every film have to be completely depressing and something that no one will ever watch?
I don't even know what. To be honest, I don't even know what's nominated. I've probably seen at least.
I'm sure.
Well, everything was like straight to Netflix or whatever, right?
I know. That's what I love. Now I go in the category of the movies in theaters is one of the genres. And I'm like, well, no, and it's the new releases that they don't used to have to kind of wait for a good copy to come out,
Yeah.
But now as soon as the movie comes out, that's going to be ending because they're going to start opening up.
They'll start opening theaters, and yeah. I got a question for both of you. I mentioned McDowell's before. Obviously, it was a nod to Coming to America. Did either of you watch Coming to America?
No,
I did.
Was it good?
You know what? If you want to wax nostalgic about the first movie, it was good. Just as a movie on its own, it is what it is. Was it horrible? No.
Was it better or worse than Eddie Murphy singing?
So if you want to take it and no, it was good. It was good. There was a lot of cute things in it. There was a lot of really good nods to the first movie. They explained some things, how they brought what they did to light from the first movie. They actually had a few flashbacks, which was obviously difficult to do because now you get a flashback. So they had to film those flashbacks with people that were 30 years older than they were, then when they made the first movie. But it was interesting. It was cute.
So it was better than Party All the Time.
It was better than Party All the Time. My girl wants to party all the time. Party all the time.
That was a Rick James jam.
Rick James produced it. Eddie Murphy sung it.
Yeah, Rick James.
Rick James sang the backup vocals.
He sung
which were really the best vocals on the track.
I wants to party all the time. That was Rick James.
So terrible.
I know.
So, okay.
All right, let me ask you this.
Go ahead. Go for it.
Because we're only at the 3:08 mark.
It's we got another hour.
Talking to a friend of mine about the Beach Boys.
The Beach Boys. Go for it.
I don't get it. I know this.
You don't get the Beach Boys?
Have you seen
They love the Beach Boys and all
well,
this.
they were really groundbreaking. Pet Sounds is a great album. I would say if you want to, I am more fascinated by the Beach Boys than their music. But here, I would say
that I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no.
But if we didn't have the Beach Boys, we wouldn't have the Ramones. And so why do I love the Ramones, who are basically a punk rock Beach Boys? Yeah. But yet sometimes the Beach Boys drive me nuts. It's that keyboard, the that thing that David Lee Roth copied for his solo shit. It's that happy keyboard shit going on and everything. But there's two documentaries or two films. One's a documentary, one's a film. The movie about Brian Wilson, where John Cusack plays him as an older Brian Wilson, and I forget the guy. Great film and kind of an interesting insight into him. And then the documentary about the Wrecking Crew is fantastic. Those are the guys who played on most of the Beach Boy albums, the actual musicians, including Carol Kay and some of those. There's great documentary, and not that it's about the Beach Boys, but there's a big chunk of it that obviously is about that, and it's really worthwhile. But going back and listening to the Beach Boys now, I have a greater appreciation for them. There was something so saccharine about the Beach Boys that I couldn't appreciate it.
Yeah, that's why I can't stand them.
I actually saw them twice.
Yeah, and when
to me it's just the same surfer bullshit, cheesy.
Right.
I've listened to Pet Sounds,
but that's what it
three or four times. I just can't.
They're nowhere. They're not the Beatles. They're not the Stones. They're not the Who. They're not.
No, I wasn't expecting them to. Right. I mean, I know it was a craze. And
it was bubblegum pop in the '60s, is what it was.
But it's really
well done.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
really well.
Yes,
very
that
well
I can appreciate.
Best instrument ever used in Good Vibrations.
Have you guys?
Theremin.
Yes.
Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
Have you guys seen the I Get Around Shred?
No.
Look that up on YouTube.
I Get Around Shred.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I think God Only Knows is a great song.
That's a good song.
There's a few Beach Boys songs that I like, which their names escape me right now, but most of it I just can't stand it. I think you know what it was.
I think it's the lyrics to a lot of them. I just feel like they're just
and Kokomo.
Oh God!
Ruined.
Wow.
Whenever John Stamos was involved, it was horrible.
Yeah, and
God.
But that was for. I mean, they did that. They didn't. That wasn't a single that they took. They did that for the movie.
No, I understand, but that was all. It was ruined. Just ruined any chance I had of really,
But listen to the vocals in like I Get Around. The harmonies were incredible. But I think that's also what drove me nuts about them.
Yeah,
is that it was just so. And look, it was. He knew exactly what he was doing. Those songs were produced and mastered and mixed to be heard on AM radios.
Yep.
And they just jumped out. You can 3 seconds of a Beach Boys song and you know it's a Beach Boys song.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But, yeah.
So, well, there you go. And again, I saw them twice, so that was
so next week, top
cool.
10 Beach Boys songs.
Top 10 Beach Boys songs. Little Saint Nick's my number one. But
oh Jesus Christ. I think I'm going to be sick next week. I think we'll get the podcast going, and I'll go, COVID. There will be no delay till Thursday.
Top 10 Boston songs.
But maybe not a crazier, more just manic, obsessive personality. I mean, I think Brian Wilson makes the guys in Steely Dan seem laid back.
A little bit.
I mean,
a little bit.
I mean, he was a genius. I mean, he really was.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still alive. He is a genius. But
he is a genius. Yeah.
That movie, the one about Brian Wilson with John Cusack, is a really good film. I highly recommend it.
What's the thing to look at on YouTube?
The Wrecking Crew.
No, yeah.
I Get Around.
I Get Around Shred. Right.
Shred, yeah.
Shred. You have to do that. All right.
I always love the mashups.
There you go.
Yeah, this one is just. I think that there's only a couple of them. One is the Beach Boys and one is something else. I don't remember, but they're just.
There's a lot of good mashups.
Yeah, gut busting funny.
Yeah. So, Another good mashup that I always found ridiculously funny was and good too was it I think it was Crazy Train and what the hell is it? I guess damn it, it's an Earth, Wind and Fire song. I forget it.
Yeah,
that was Ozzy and Earth, Wind and Fire. But
look for the Beach Boys shred. I Get Around.
Beach Boys shred. I Get Around. I'll have to look at it. Anyway, all right, we'll wrap the show up for today on that note. Check that out. Anyway, all right.
It's not even 11 o'clock yet.
It's not. I know. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.loggerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Logger Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at 7:30, as opposed to tonight. But it was a special one for you. And for those of you that want to just listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Watch a lot of sports. Take that all in. Don't forget to check out the Academy Awards on Sunday night. I'm kidding. Watch what's a Sunday night baseball game. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.
Peace.